going to give you a quick demo of our CTN Network website, ctnnetwork.net. Join our community. It is free. You just type in ctnnetwork.net, and this is the homepage right here. And if you want to create an account, you would just click up here and create new account right here. Sign up with your email, or you can sign up with just clicking on Facebook or Google. So you can sign up with your Facebook account or your Gmail. So I'm already signed up, so I'm going to click in Gmail right here, and it's going to log me in. And as you can see, this is our homepage. Click on creators right here, and this shows you all the CTN family members that are content creators. Everybody is on here. If you want to go to one of their YouTube channels, for example, if you want to go to Crypto Talk Now, just click on channel, and it takes you right over to the YouTube channel for that particular creator. And you click on community. This is our community right here. We do have a forum, and this is a forum where you can post things, you can interact with one another. And there's also a blog right over here that we post our own content on. And if you click on CTN Studios, you can watch our live show and other content creators' live shows right through this CTN Studios. We do have advertisements for some of the content creators. There's the Crypto Smith, there's Waddy, the Crypto Hunter, and we also have live charts for the ISOs right in this box right here. We have a feature where you click on the heart if you want to donate to us. You can donate with Ethereum or Binance, BNB. And also, if you click on this button right here, we're going to have a call-in feature, which is already live. If you want to call us, just click on the green icon, the green phone icon, and click on call now. And during the show, between 9:15 and 10, when we announce it, when Max is on or when I'm on with Max, we will start accepting phone calls, and you guys can be live with the show. If you want to turn your video on, you can come on camera as well. So good stuff there. Now back onto the homepage. If you click on members, you can see all the people that are members here. All these people here, like Chaka just signed up. Gills33, Miguel, all these people here are members of our community. So you guys can sign up, and then you can chat with one another. So you can either click over here, message right here. So what I'm going to do, guys, is I'm just going to welcome him. I'll send him a quick message, and then I can click enter or just a little arrow. If you want to message somebody else, you can click on message, or you can go right over here into members chat and go ahead and message them and create a new chat if you want by clicking this little button right here. Now also, if you scroll down here, you can see some of the past videos that our content creators in our content creator family have created. You can go in here and watch some of the recorded videos. They're scrolling down here. Just choose one to watch. And that's it, guys. Thank you for watching this brief demo. Make sure you sign up so you can interact and be part of the community when we are not on the live show.
Hello, good evening, everybody. Glad to be here with you guys on this wonderful Monday. On today's show, we'll get into what happened recently as far as the crash and what caused the crash. On top of that, we have a few things for the lineup today. Not a huge lineup. Today is not as, a day where the Suns play, but I am going to check out Warriors-Lakers later. But we do have a good show for you guys nonetheless. We're going to get into some Ripple's XRP. We got some big news in regards to actually Stellar. Donnell Dixon meeting up with a particular lady from Franklin Templeton. Why does that all matter? And then on top of that, some news in regards to Quant. So without further ado, we're going to check out the comments that are part of our lineup here tonight. So smash that like if you haven't done so already. Thanks for being here, and let's go ahead and kick it into it. All right. So I see that we have KK starting things off with the first comment of the day. And I just want to say to KK, congratulations, KK. In the words of Larry, you want absolutely nothing. All right. So it says, the poor sell the dip, the rich buy the dip, the wealthy buy a lot. That's a great saying. That is very true. Hello, right back to you. And also want to welcome Mr. Boomer F and Sooner. Glad to have you here, Mr. Boomer. Brian Dowie's in the house. Thank you for being here, Brian. Good to see you guys. Familiar faces. April Cornwell says, yo. Is that really you, April? Or is that Mr. Mike Cornwell using your account saying yo? Or you both just say yo? I don't know. All right. But yeah, good to see you here, April. And I guess it really is you. I had a long day, long you know what day, just like that meme. Oh boy, I'm sorry. Hopefully you're able to relax now. All right, I want to welcome Mr. Tim Shea, the mayor of crypto, representing the 589th district of the XRP Army, Mr. Tim Shea, who says, hey, glad to have you here, the crypto commissioner. All right, Salamander's up in the house. Glad to see you here, Mr. Salamander, XDC commander. You know, we used to call you Salamander in space, but ever since you got like a million plus XDC, it just kind of switched to commander. All right. Brian Dowie says, Max, your Suns might win this series. They might, but you know what? I think it's going to go. It could probably go to 7. You know, a lot of times game 5s are the definitive, you know, mark of a series. You know, typically speaking, especially if a road team could win, you know. But my thing is this: they're down 2-0 and they're coming back. Do they have enough to have it figured out? Might very well be. And not only that, what about the whole thing with Jokic? You know, if they're going to suspend him, my thing is, why don't you just suspend him like, you know, 1 game or something like that for next season or a couple or whatever. And Charles Barkley did bring up a good or something I thought was true, and that was if it would have been a regular fan or anybody else, that guy would have been thrown out. But, you know, Suns owner, you have to throw the owner out, right? Anyway, hypocritical. Even though I'm a Suns fan, I can recognize that's a hypocritical. So just want to throw that out there. All right. We have the one and only Michael Montclair, who says he just got a bag of Teddy and AI Pogi. You bought Teddy? Was in Teddy Doge? Teddy Doge. I'm still bitter of how I was treated, but that's okay. It's an opportunity. Sobo's in the house, the one and only Sobo. Good day to everyone. Good day to you, Sobo. Glad to have you here. Hopefully, you know, things weren't so tough for you today when you went back to work teaching the youngins. You're not that far off from. Then again, you know what? Here in Arizona, the last day of school, as far as kids go, is Tuesday the 23rd. And then for teachers, it's the 24th. But I realize around the United States, you know, last day of school for teachers and kids probably like in June. But, you know, you're almost there as well. So, good day. Glad to have you here, Sobo. All right. So we're going to go further down into the comments. I want to welcome Mr. Din G. He says he's here and ready for some hard news today. Well, it's not the hardest of news, but it is the news. So thank you for being here, Mr. Din G. And I'm just going to welcome a few more people and read some more comments. Sobo says, Max, that Jasmine Quant video was fantastic. Thank you. You know, I appreciate hearing your feedback, Sobo, because I realize I think you're in both. I know you're at least in Quant. I think you're also in the Jasmine, but, you know, it was just kind of like I get it. I think Larry says I said this a lot, you know, thesis. Well, that's what it is, you know? So I was like, you know, I think there's something solid here with Quant and Jasmine. I think I might have another particular video clip that was intended obviously for Quant, but when you hear it, it's going to pound it home that much more in regards to this idea of, where they're at with, solving use cases for teaming up with groups for data. And basically, it's an old clip with DEG, but you got to hear what Gilbert Verdian has to mention with that. And we'll try to pull that up as well. All right, Dingy states he sees cold wallets only good against a crypto exchange going bankrupt. Won't be able to use cold wallet if government bans for ordinary people to own crypto. Can be tracked and found easily. Sorry, guys, I'm just kind of struggling right now. Not necessarily talking. Earlier today, I don't know how the heck I did it, but I was trying to run across the room and I tweaked my left foot, and I think I partially sprained the dang thing. But anyway, it's just kind of annoying. Dan G says he hopes. Hold on. Only hope is being part of this process. That's a good way of looking at it. But yeah, seeing cold wallets only good against a crypto exchange going bankrupt. Won't be able to use your cold wallet if government bans ordinary people to own crypto. Can't be tracked and found easily. Well, who's the solution to that? That's the real question. Who will help be a solution to that? There's I get what you're saying. It's kind of counterintuitive if you have one side, it's like damned if you do, damned if you don't. I don't know. I like the concept of the Arculus wallet. I've stated that before. The only problem is they just don't have enough options. I think if they ever do get to the point where they have more options, I honestly think that might be the way to go, because it takes out the factor of, or I should say, it injects the factor of ease of access. And at the end of the day, people still want that ease of access. So, all right, let's go further down in the comments. Michael Montclair says he has auto on Jasmine once a week, trying to get to 50K Jasmine. Very cool. Thanks for reporting that. You're one thing I do notice about you, Michael. All right, and this is good. This is not a bad thing. Let me turn that off for a second. And that is, you are consistent with your DCA. You're kind of like, how about this, right? Maybe I don't want you to take this the wrong way. I consider this a compliment. So if we refer to Salamander as the XDC commander, can we refer to Mr. Michael Montclair as, for instance, the tortoise of crypto? Slow and steady wins the race. I don't know. Maybe you don't like that title. All right, let's go further down. Dingy says, Montclair, some extra 50K or 50K goal. Yeah, that's a good point. All right, let me see if you guys got anything specific. And I'm just going to welcome a few more people. I'm going to welcome Mr. Kirk Angel. Welcome back. Good evening, Mad Max. Good evening to you, Mr. Kirk Angel. I think your avatar still looks the same as before. Now you got a bunch of ninjas. Jasmine ninjas in the house, right? All right. Just going to welcome a few more people. Let's see where we're at in the comments. Man, where is this real quick? There's a lot of comments. I just got to get through some of these. All right. I want to welcome Brittany. Says, hoping everyone has a wonderful day, especially, April. River, good evening. Glad to have you here. GS, welcome. Coochie Boy, welcome. April says it's a beautiful day, Britt. Beautiful day. I hope you had one too, girl. Yeah, that's a good point. All right. Let's see where we're at. And I'm just going to check out a few more. Sold half your Cardano to drop in Jasmine. Don't judge me. I can't blame you. I mean, for me, that's just a really, really, really long-term hold. I think people do that. I think people get tired of holding their Cardano and they do those things. We're going to get into the news here in a little bit. We're just going to welcome a few more people. Tommy, welcome back. Glad to have you here, Tommy. Appreciate you. And let's see where we're at. Dingy, I hope today Max will show us how to bake some delicious cookies. Well, you know what? I won't be able to show you how to bake some delicious cookies, I'll give a shout out to this guy. I don't think he really watches our show that much, but I think overall he's a pretty good guy. He does watch a lot of Crypto Smith and so on. And let me see if I could pull up. Yeah, here we go. Here we go. You're mentioning cookies. Check this out. Let's just share this real quick. This is from the one and only Cooling Chris. He says, legend has it. They had an amazing party last night. He had a white chocolate chip, double chocolate, butterscotch cookies. Look at that. Those look delicious. Yes, I know what's in them. I'm not oblivious to it. But I'm just saying, in general, those are some good looking cookies. I've never had a butterscotch cookie before. That looks pretty good. So I'll leave that up there. And that's the before, and here's the after. And he's got his own brand on it, which is cool and Chris. It's pretty cool. All right. So, yeah, but thank you for that. Brownies is the way to go. All right. Yeah, we got some XLM. We're going to get into some of that. No biggie. I'm so used to crashes with this crappy economy. That's a good way of looking at it. Cool Cat. If I didn't have a chance to welcome you before, welcome, Mr. Cool Cat Crypto. Magic Power says, hello, guten Tag, Liechtenstein Exchange. Just me in the house. Yes. All right. And then welcome just a few more people. We will kick it into what we have on the lineup. Mrs. OG Queen says, hey, Max, hello to you. Thank you. Welcome back. The Suns are better without Chris Paul. Oh, man, sometimes it seems like they are, and sometimes it seems like they're not. But as far as what, the adjustments they made, I would have to agree with you. You got to keep in mind, what was it? I want to say it was game 2. Yeah, it was game 2. They were kind of like neck and neck with they're holding their own with the Nuggets. And then Chris Paul ended up getting that groin injury. Totally changed the status of the game. But he has a great mid-range jumper, very accurate with it. He's a good player when he's obviously, not injured. But he does have consistent injury problems. I think it was, Jalen Rose, which ironically back in the day of freshman year of high school, I used to have a Jalen Rose jersey. Isn't that crazy? I used to have a Denver Nuggets Jalen Rose jersey, only because I was a fan of Jalen Rose from, his days of Michigan. Anyway, he pointed out that for the last, I think, 10 years, for like a decade, Chris Paul has been played with injury 80% of the time. And that is a high statistic, to say the least. All right. I think what we're going to do then is we're just going to kick it into the comments to the news, because if we don't, it's going to drag things on. I do want to welcome Mr. Big Watch Dude. Thank you for being here, Mr. Watch Dude. All right, let's go ahead and kick it into what we have. All right, I'm sure a lot of you guys have saw that the overall crypto market has tanked, significantly. Let me show you guys just in case you haven't been caught up to date in regards to that. So here it is. And basically speaking, what's trending, obviously still Pepe Le Pew. Now it's a frog, right? And that's 33.45% down. Basically speaking, it is still got 5 zeros, but this thing did tank down. And I'm not trying to show a lot of attention, but it is something that's trending, obviously. Some people did well, but some people decided, who are new investors, let's be honest, to diamond hand something like this. And at the end of the day, why are you diamond handing a brand new meme token project? If anything, you should take some profits, but that's where we have the difference of old investors and new investors. And that's the only thing I really do not like about some of these new projects is, those are going to be the typical cases in regards to that. And I should say rightfully so. It is part of the journey, if you will. Now, the overall crypto market, right? Bitcoin, we're down at 27,745. You saw Ethereum, 1855 and so on. But, typically speaking, when we were approaching 30K or more, the overall crypto market was significantly up. We're up to like basically about 1.10 1.23 trillion. So what happened recently, and do I feel as though it's doom and gloom for crypto? No, I do not. We'll get into some of those particular things here in a moment. So I want to show you this, and this was reported earlier. I posted this on crypto Twitter. Binance pauses Bitcoin withdrawals for the second time in 24 hours. Now, you may have saw some of the news about this probably earlier today. Some of you guys are like, you start off with like your morning crypto shows. By the time you get here, this might be considered old news. But for people who, let's face it, like, here in the Southwest or on the West Coast, maybe you didn't have time to see this because, you just got back from work, wherever the case, right? So this comes straight from CoinDesk, and it says Binance resumes Bitcoin withdrawals after second pause, says it's adjusting fees and integrating Lightning Network. Now, there's been a lot of praise in regards to the Lightning Network, both good and bad, and some people look at Bitcoin's Lightning Network as kind of like the same concept of why you would, or why a person holds Ripple, which sounds insane, but Bitcoin maxis are always going to, whatever criticism they get in regards to BTC, they're always going to throw the concept of the Lightning, network right into the face of a debate. And that's just a given. Am I going to make this a segment about the Lightning Network? No, I'm not. But like it shows right here, the second pause came less than 8 hours after the first. And I'm going to play a little bit in regards to this. In fact, I might play the whole thing. Some good stuff here. But listen to what was mentioned. Smash that like if you haven't done so already. Catch up on some of this, to say the least. We have featured this lady here before when we were talking about Jasmine and the Web3 white paper for Japan. But yeah, let's go ahead and play this. And if anything, it'll catch you up on just what the heck is going on. Here we go.
Binance has once again resumed Bitcoin withdrawals after a second pause over the weekend as the Bitcoin network suffers from unprecedented congestion. Joining us to discuss is 21 co-founder and CEO Haney Rashwan. Hello, Haney.
Hello.
All right. The second pause came less than 8 hours after the first. It's big news this morning. What's your reaction to the news?
There's been a lot going on in Bitcoin that could explain this rather logically. There's a new token standard, BRC20, that's very similar to ERC20, and we've been seeing unprecedented traffic on Bitcoin. So a lot of what Binance is saying could make logical sense. Now, given what we've been seeing over the past couple of years, I would tell everyone to be vigilant and we should follow the situation more. But what's going on right now in Bitcoin is quite unprecedented, and we haven't really seen this for many, many years. And the last time we saw it was during periods where it was close to its all-time high. There was a lot more usage as well back then. And we're seeing some similar sentiments now.
Yeah, you mentioned the BRC20 tokens. There's also ordinals. Do you think that this indicates problems in the long term for Bitcoin, or do you think this is going to linger?
We'll see. I think it's interesting that Ethereum is, as you see in the press, really attacked for low transaction speeds and issues with scalability. Bitcoin would have even more problems in various ways. And I think that despite that, it appears that there's a lot of popularity amongst this, and there's a lot of quite strong interest around not just NFTs on Bitcoin like ordinals, but also a lot of the meme coins that have been replicated in Bitcoin BRC20 form.
Yeah, I wanted to come to that actually. We've seen all of that news around Peppercoin holders just taking profits on their positions, big time profits. But the token is down nearly 45% from recent highs in the last 24 hours or so. So how do you just look at that entire market, that entire altcoin market, and whether you see it in the next, let's say, a week or so? How do you see it reacting? What can we expect, highs and lows?
So I don't think it's fair to put meme coins as altcoins. So the way I see it is Bitcoin used to be by itself as almost a digital equivalent to gold. We had a lot of altcoins in Solana, Matic, Polygon, Ethereum, of course. And then we have meme coins. And meme coins, to me at least, seem eerily similar to the kind of behavior around NFTs. I remember growing up trading baseball cards and looking at them, and I see my younger cousins playing around with NFTs and playing around with meme coins, perhaps, buying or selling alpacas soon, in a very similar kind of way. And so there's certainly a market for it, but I wouldn't classify it in the same neighborhood region at all as altcoins like Ethereum or Solana that are really smart contract platforms that enable a lot of other things, including, but certainly not limited to, meme coins, NFTs, and the like.
All right, so I just thought I would share some of that with you guys, give you an idea on what the heck is going on. I'm going to show you a little bit more in regards to this, and let's jump back to this. So it was nice to share that particular interview, to say the least. But yeah, like it says, Binance has once again resumed Bitcoin withdrawals after a second pause as the Bitcoin network suffered from unprecedented congestion. Here's some of the official press releases from Binance. They were replacing the pending BTC withdrawal transactions with a higher fee so that they get picked up by mining pools. They aim to reopen BTC withdrawals in the next hour. This is, of course, earlier. Bitcoin withdrawals are now resumed on Binance. And, of course, pending transactions are being processed by replacing them with higher transaction fees. They have, other updates and so on. Then, as we know, Binance briefly paused Bitcoin withdrawals for around 2 hours Sunday afternoon U.S. time as the number of unconfirmed transactions hit a record high. A second pause taking place Sunday evening, as in U.S. time, was also for just a couple hours. Now, one thing I want to mention basically is, on crypto Twitter, I saw the most ludicrous comments ever. You had a lot of Bitcoin maxis basically stating that they thought it was a good thing and let's keep doing this because it's going to tank the market and have obviously investors come in where they just, consistently buy the dip. And then you can have, big pumps. And they feel as though that was, I guess you could say, like a win for crypto. Why are we pumping and dumping Bitcoin? I mean, last I saw, shouldn't our pump and dumps be, I hate to say it, some of these meme coins, right? So there's a lot of different, difference of opinion in market sentiment and so on. But that was the thing. And so anyway, I thought I would bring it to you guys. On our next particular thing on our lineup is going to be not necessarily Binance, but some other things that we saw happened here recently, and that is basically in regards to BRICS. So I'm going to show you guys that for just a brief moment, and then I'll kick it back into the comments. This comes from Mr. Crypto Mike, and let me go ahead and just share this real quick. So here it is, and some people feel as though, why mention some of these things? Well, you got to keep up with what's going on with, especially like the BRICS nations and so on. So this comes from the Daily Hodl. And I wanted to show you guys this. And basically speaking, this was originally posted on Cinco de Mayo. U.S. response to massive BRICS expansion effort as nations push to launch global currency and ditch the dollar. So we get into this a little bit more. It says the U.S. State Department is responding to reports. Let me come into the frame just a second. There we go. Basically are responding to reports in regards to all this. Give me a second. Preparing for, major expansion. So the group, which plans to launch a global currency to compete with the US dollar, has drawn interest from more than a dozen countries that want to join in. The list of potential newcomers includes several nations across Africa, and State Department officials tell Fox News that current US policy will not interfere with African or other nations looking to join. Listen to this quote. We lead with an affirmative agenda for Africa, demonstrating the benefits of our governance and economic models. U.S. policy does not ask our partners to choose between the U.S. and other countries. State Department officials say the agency's intent with international partners is focused on boosting democratic governance, human rights, and economic opportunity, as opposed to controlling economic alliances. The list of members that reportedly want to join BRICS includes Saudi Arabia, Iran, Egypt, Bahrain, Algeria, Argentina, and Indonesia, as well as 3 additional undisclosed nations in Africa. 4 ministers represent the 5 current BRICS members, which, as you guys know, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, will meet in June to discuss expansion efforts and the group's push to create a new currency that will likely be pegged to gold and potentially additional assets. Now, what is that basically going to be, right? A lot of us, of course, don't know about that, but it could, be tied into some things that have to do with distributed ledger technology and so on. And of course, a lot of people are speculative about that, but there's been talk on obviously crypto Twitter that could very well be some of the things that we're already familiar with now, and is Russia and China secretly going to use Ripple's XRP? Or are they going to use something that is similar to it? What could that be? But if it's something similar to it, I think we would have heard about that a while back. And of course, a lot of this debate is being mentioned. So thought I would share some of these 2 key things. Next on our particular lineup that we have for you guys tonight, that we're going to get into, is basically a little bit of XRP, and then we're going to shift from there to some Quant and Stellar. Some big news in regards to Stellar, so stay tuned for that. Smash that like if you haven't done so already. We will kick it back into the comments. Thanks for being here tonight, and let's get into it. So I did see obviously quite a big wave of comments, so we do appreciate that. And let's go further down. I want to welcome Mr. Cash Cats. This is Max. Gives me the dabs. Thank you for being here, Mr. Cash Cats. All right. And let's see here. Michael Montclair says, Pepe hopes will buy me 100K XRP, 500K XLM, and 100 Quant. You want to know something? If that ends up happening for you, Michael, and I hope it does, that would be what I would refer to as the ultimate power swap. So, like with me, I did, for instance, with my my Filecoin, and I looked at, I got back into it again. And then, believe it or not, I got it back into it again. This morning, I got back into it again. Why did I get back into it again? Let me show you guys that real quick. So I did put out a price alert earlier, and I'm going to go ahead and share this with you guys. It's on crypto Twitter. All right, let me scroll down a little bit. By the way, I did want to share this. Sean the Crypto Smith, check this out. He has a new video. Ripple spends enormous amount on lawsuit. Coinbase looks to build outside, for instance. Move outside the U.S. He did a whole video in regards to this. I'll have to review it as well, but thought I would mention that to you guys. Shout out to Sean the Crypto Smith. He can be followed at Sean Crypto Smith on Twitter, or you can follow him also on YouTube, right, at the space Crypto Smith. All right, as we go further down, I believe I put out that list early this morning, so I retweeted quite a few things. So here it is. And I made a thread about it because, let's face it, Twitter has, character limits. Anybody who was interested about posting any threads instead of just a regular tweet, if you're wondering how to do it, it's really easy. Basically, you start your thread, and then on the lower right-hand corner, after your character limit is done, you just hit the plus sign, and allows you to make like an outline thread. So to anybody who's wondering. All right, so I put a price alert earlier this morning, and some of these prices have actually gone a little bit further down. So for instance, Filecoin, like I said, as you guys know, I bought 2 bags on an average price of $483 and made $3K in 3 days. This was the bottom for me last time, and wrote it up to $8 last time. And you got to keep in mind this, all right? So earlier today, that even went further down just by a little bit. I think it was at like 475. And I said to myself, ooh, not too shabby. Now, let me show you guys just real quick on what's going on with, for instance, Filecoin. And you might be wondering, well, this has nothing to do with XRP and stuff like that. At the end of the day, this is crypto talk now, and we do talk about other things other than just the typical ones. But the reason why I show you guys this is because I look at it as opportunity. Now, this is opportunity as far as from a market cap perspective. Like shout out to Crypto Mike. I was mentioning some of these things to him earlier, and he was just like, well, there's a lot of other better opportunities as far as from a market cap perspective, and I understand where he's coming from in that regard. So here it is, the listing on CMC. It's ranked 31st. It did tank down even to 459. Now, you got to keep in mind, with that said, I mean, from a DCA perspective, I would technically be even, about another 20 cents down. So my thing is this, I mean, I may look at this, hold off maybe just a little bit more for the next couple days, and see if we have, the new bottom, if you will. Because I'll tell you this much, once the market rebounds, and I do feel as though it's going to rebound here soon, that is just, to me, it was always a no-brainer around these particular prices. This is one in which I feel as though is like the Coca-Cola of crypto. I've said that numerous times before. Why do I state that when it comes to Filecoin? Because the way I look at it with Filecoin, it has the highest average return with the lowest risk, technically speaking. And yeah, there's a lot of other projects that are lower market cap. But again, are you going to get that analogy of like the Coca-Cola crypto? No. For me, Filecoin has always been a safe bet in the 490 to 485 range. And of course, this to me, this is the lowest I've seen it within the last 4 or 5 months. So that is significant. And at the end of the day, we all want to try to buy the bottom if we can, right? That's one of the main things. Let me show you guys real quick, crypto Twitter. Let me shift this back. So that was one of the main price alerts, right? The other one I want to show you guys is Aptos, right? On that particular one, I said, in this, during this morning, I mean, it's probably fluctuated by now. I said 868. Anything below 9 is absolute steal, in my opinion. It's probably tanked since then. You can look more into this. BSV, right? Cool cat, right? Let's face it, very passionate about BSV, but opportunity here. I look more into BSV. $30.42. This is the bottom. Look at the chart. It's probably tanked more since then. Could have, right? I'm telling you flat out, look more into the chart. You'll see that is the true bottom, at least for the last year or more, maybe. VGX. Why even talk about VGX, Max? Keep in mind, what's the topic of today's show? Today's show is literally referred to as the crash with Max. We're talking about the crash. Are there opportunities based off this crash? Yes, you better believe it. What opportunities are out there? VGX is still an opportunity. How so? Well, keep in mind, it's so volatile that it could tank more. But for those of you who pay attention to technical analysis, there's still a few real good, TNA out there when it comes to getting it somewhat right. Find out which ones those guys are. I don't happen to be following anyone in regards to VGX, but I'm sure there's probably some guys that just specialize in that. Whatever guys you normally use, or you look on, for instance, YouTube, you name it, but there's some guys who are legitimately really good with the technical breakdown. Find out what you feel as though VGX's bottom could be nearing. But I'm just going to throw this out there. This is significant. This being well below 20 cents is opportunity. Like I said, distressed assets are still great opportunities. And keep in mind, why did I point this out to you guys? Now, none of this is financial advice, but I will state this. From what I gathered, and I think, if anything, I do get a little bit of credibility talking about VGX. So I look more into it, and like it shows right here, this is, in fact, the lowest it's been since VGX took off to well over $1 summer of 2022. Now, I will give a shout out to some of these guys, and one guy in particular who I have not seen here for the longest time. I don't know what happened to him. I think he's a good guy overall. His Iron Lux Trader. And also, I do need to give this guy like a phone call or text. I miss him. He's a good guy. And that basically is Todd, aka Common Sense, our Common Sense. Now, Todd came into VGX, I believe, at 15 cents, if I'm not mistaken, and he rode that up to, well over $1, maybe like $1.30, $1.50. I can't remember. But the point is, this is the lowest VGX has been since that big shift or pump where it went from 15 cents to well over $1. So that's why I'm pointing it out again. You decide if this is a distressed asset that you see opportunity in. Again, it's not financial advice, but this is just some of the things I'm looking to personally do. On top of that, Cake. What is Cake, right? That's Pancake Swap. Currently speaking, $1.94. So this is the bottom. Look at the chart. Again, some of these things could have very well have tanked since then. And I've always stated this, always have, if you can, I understand for some of us times are tough, but this is a perfect example of having some fiat on hand for some of these opportunities. On top of that, Tim Shea's Flux, roughly about 51 cents, could be a little bit lower. Like I said, this is close to the bottom for the 1 year chart. Bottom would be just about a few cents lower, around 47 cents. And again, it's not financial advice, but those were some of the key ones. There's probably some other ones maybe that you looked at personally. I'm just saying these are some of the ones on my particular watch list that I've been looking at closely based on, are these close to the bottom? At the end of the day, if you're looking to do things at the bottom, you can really do some big things. I just been more in tune about the whole thing of, futures trading. Haven't done it yet. But for instance, Mr. Crypto Mike has stated that he has done really well with that. And basically, if it's the true bottom, you're going to do a heck of a lot better than somebody who doesn't recognize the bottom as far as that. Now, as we know, futures trading and shorting and all that stuff is highly volatile, and it's risky. So basically know what you're doing. Have I done it yet? No. The answer is no, I have not done it yet. But I do recognize that if I had true bottom, oh man, significant gains. Why point some of this stuff out? Because it can equate to what, guys? Great power swaps. So just thought I'd throw that out there. I'm going to kick it back into the comments. And then from there, we are going to get into our Ripple XRP news. Let's go further down into the comments. Big Dave is in the house. What up, gentlemen? I second the Jasmine Quant video. Nice job, bro. Thank you so much, Big Dave. I'm glad you guys enjoyed that. My main key thing was, it's one thing to come on camera and do a video and state something like that. You had to have something to back that up. And then when I saw what was posted from the Overledger update a while back, they incorporated Hyperledger Fabric, I was like, oh my God, this simply makes sense. And we'll get into maybe just one last thing in regards to a clip that has nothing obviously to do with Jasmine, but will pound it that much home more for, wow, they should do something together, Quant and Jasmine. But thank you. Appreciate that, Big Dave. And I'm going to double check the other screen, making sure I didn't miss anything. I saw in the comments, Mr. Elon Muff is here. Welcome, Crypto Mike. With twisted ankle. Actually, it's not twisted. It's more than twisted. It's pretty jacked up. It's funny how pain works. I'm sure some of you guys obviously have dealt with pain, and pain sucks. So when I was younger, I used to get insane stomach aches. Long story short, I used to get bullied really bad when I was in elementary school and also middle school. I finally got to the point where I just couldn't take it anymore, and I was taught by dad, you got to fight these guys and so on, and I did. But a lot of times, I would get hit really hard all the time, and as growing up as a kid, that can mess up your organs and stuff like that. So I used to get some really, really insane stomach aches where that would last maybe 2 or 3 hours at a time. And the pain, I'll never forget, that was probably the worst pain I ever dealt with in my life. And it was so bad that I don't know if you can relate to this, but what I would do is I would, for instance, let's say there's a white wall. This sounds crazy, but this is how I would cope with it. If there was a spot on the wall, I would concentrate on that spot because the pain was so just ludicrous and horrible that by concentrating on one thing, you're not concentrating on the pain. Now, this whole time I've been talking, I haven't been like, I just been naturally talking about crypto and reading comments, and the pain didn't come up. But as soon as I read this, boom, injects that thought of the pain. Kind of weird how that works, but it just kind of remind me of that. Anyway, yeah, one of those things. All right, so me, hello. Is it me you're looking for? Lionel Richie. All right, thank you for being here, Mr. Me. Michael Montclair did report on this. Arculus, he said he returned it. It stunk. That's a consistent complaint. You know, I think it's not so bad that, well, this is the first time I should say this is a consistent complaint. The consistent complaint is the lack of support. You know, what's the point of buying an Arculus if you only have like a few select, you know, I don't know, I should say projects, but in reality, right? Cryptos that, you know, this is not what, guys, this is not 2010 or, you know, 2013. They should have a bigger portfolio of the ones we should select, right? That's the main thing. Why can't a cold storage hold everything? Exactly. Why can't it hold everything? I don't know. It kind of defeats the purpose. So there you go. Mrs. OG Queen, congrats on the channel. I've been out of the game a while, and there used to be only four or five of us here. Where's Larry? Is he still around? Yeah, he's still around. Yeah, I mean, that was the very, very early days, like, you know, roughly a year ago. We did have like a celebration for the 1 year anniversary. He's had problems with his eyes. He just does weekend shows. So, I mean, normally he would do weekend shows, but he's back in regards to that. Usually shows consist of like, you know, just reading comments and welcoming people and maybe like a couple articles and stuff like that. But, you know, I thought he did a pretty decent job in regards to his weekend shows and stuff. So, but yeah, he's still around. All right. But no, I think maybe he saw you in the comments, but we'll let him know that you were welcoming him or ask him about him. All right. Gonna read just a few more comments and then we'll kick it back into our outline. Big Watch Dude. Hey, Max, didn't Arculus Wallet have an issue with the number of tokens allowed or limited tokens? Yeah, exactly. I just mentioned that. That is the issue. And that's one of the main things that I think people like steer away from it. Now, will they get their crap together later on in the future? I think so. I think they recognize that that's going to be a problem, but that will attract quite a few people when they do maybe have like a big update, you know, maybe call it like Arculus 2.0. I don't know. We'll see. But, you know, let's face it, more people are going to go with what works, and that basically is Ledger. But their argument is, you know, it is a pain to have to like move it, you know, especially like if you want just readily on demand, right? One of those things. All right. Yamaha Pacifica, welcome back with the great looking what's that, Les Paul guitar. And he says, hello, probably a dumb question. Is there a cheaper way to move Jasmine other than using Ethereum network? Yes, they have a Binance. It's not a dumb question. So they have a Binance Smart Chain Bridge, and you can go that route. However, I will state this. I haven't seen so yes and no. Okay. So they got delisted from Binance US. Would that be an issue for somebody potentially to use that bridge? I don't know. You know, that kind of makes sense. So if you have a trust wallet, typically speaking, you could go on there and you could look more into that. But since you know that particular delisting, you might run into that problem. Now, I will state this: with Binance Japan coming up in June, it's not official, but to me, with Binance, regular Binance, not US, regular Binance holds about roughly 23% of all Jasmine. And them going into Japan, it would make sense that with Binance Japan, they would list obviously Jasmine, hence, you know, Jasmine, the Bitcoin in Japan, if you will. And then you would have that Binance Smart Chain Bridge enabled. Right. So that is a significantly cheaper way of going about it. If you're looking at the decentralized route, if you're looking for a centralized route, you can go, for instance, with KuCoin. Your fees are significantly cheaper by going that route. You have the pairing with USDT, and you also have the circle pairing, if I'm not mistaken. All right, Cash Cats says, sorry about the background. There's some construction going on outside. Cash is saying, what's up to I think you're trying to say Sobo. It's a typo. All right. Cool Cat says, I'm not sure a good hot wallet is just as safe as a cold wallet. Yeah. Rock Wallet and Exodus are both outstanding wallets. Yeah, we did talk about Exodus a while back. BitBoy scare the hell out of telling the audience they need 150,000 XRP. Jeez, that's a lot of XRP. Like, I don't think you need that much personally, but I mean, yeah, that's the way I look at it too. 10,000 XRP is more than enough. I mean, honestly, like, it just depends on how long you're looking to hold any particular asset, whether it's XRP, XLM, and so on. Set your goals. It's just that for some people, like, we always mention XDC. For Salamander, that's going to be a lot easier to hit for him to reach his goals of millionaire status if it hits a buck compared to, let's say a guy that only has, I don't know, I'm just going to throw out an example. This is not me, but like say somebody has, I don't know, only 1,000 XDC, who's like, I'm going to diamond hand the heck out of this until it reaches $80 or something. All right, you may be waiting a really long time for that. I'm not saying it's not going to happen, but it just way more pressure on the guy that's holding $80, let alone to the guy who's holding to $1. All right, we're going to get back into our outline that we have for you tonight. We're about 52 minutes into the show. Smash a like if you haven't done this already. Let's kick it into some Ripple's XRP. All right. So on today's show, we're going to get into this, and this comes from the one and only Black Swan Capitalist, aka Verson Alarja. It says the IMF may claim there's no alternative to the US dollar, but basically there is. And how so? Well, like it says, it's called XRP. Every major player in the financial industry is already backing these alternative currencies behind closed doors. And look what it says here. World IMF chief, shift away from dollar occurring, but no alternative to U.S. currency exists. Of course, here's some comments, right? This guy says, Digital G, just me, SDR in the works, moving away from the US dollar into a basket of currencies, including a digital asset such as XRP. On top of it, IMF working with Ripple since day one. And that is a true, very well said point, Going to get a little bit more of what we have, but I just thought I'd kind of start things off with that, right? There's this. And basically speaking, this comes from XRP_Crow. I guess apparently he likes Ripple and Crypto.com's Crow. Ripple is expanding in Dubai, according to Brad Garlinghouse. Look at this quote. Ripple is expanding into Dubai with 20% of our customers based in MENA and clear regulatory regimes being developed. It's no surprise that Dubai is emerging as a key global financial hub for crypto innovation to thrive. At the end of the day, that also makes sense. You got to keep in mind, they are looked upon as being, no pun intended, but like the mecca of crypto to a sense, that whole region, and there's of course a little bit more in regards to this. Let's pull this up. So there we go. And like it shows, this is straight from Brad Garlinghouse as the source officially, right? This is definitely his account. So it says, as I just shared on stage at Dubai FinTech Summit, Ripple is expanding in Dubai with 20% of our customers based in MENA and clear regulatory regimes being developed. It's no surprise that Dubai is emerging as a key global financial hub for crypto innovation to thrive. There's other places, as we know, that are rising up. I mean, I immediately think of Singapore. Another big player that's rising up as we speak is Hong Kong, right? So this was at Dubai FinTech Summit, and nonetheless, I thought I would report on that. This is a good quote, right? This guy says, global adoption continues while the U.S. awaits a decision that could bring clarity that will begin to unlock trillions of dollars, bringing the world closer together, faster, cheaper, scalable, and more secure. Let's go. At the end of the day, yes, that's one of the main key takeaways. People complain about, for instance, well, we haven't seen, the massive pumps that we're hoping with ISO 222. Again, that's the messaging service and so on. And while that's significant, the ones that are tied into the ISO 222 messaging standard, we also have to recognize at the end of the day, it's all about what main key thing, the utility being used. We can have implementation, but we have to have the utility used. By getting some of this global adoption, you will start seeing the utility being used. Like this guy says, for perspective, BG doesn't sleep, as in Brad Garlinghouse. Let's blow this up for a second. I'll try to blow it up just a tad bit more. Let me see. There we go. All right. On this one, it says, with 20% of our customers based in MENA, like I restated that, but that's one of the main key things. It's kind of like what you just saw right there. Sorry about that. I thought that was something a little bit different. I'll jump back to what we have. Here we go. He says, thank you, Brian Armstrong, thank you for hosting DIFC and for the great interview. Big players are recognizing each other. Brian Armstrong of Coinbase, Brad Garlinghouse of Ripple, right? That's one of the main key things. People are kind of going crazy about it, but it is big news. And I thought I would share that with you guys. On this next particular segment, we're going to jump into quant, and I do want to show you guys this. So this comes from Mr. BSR, Buy, Sell, Repeat. Great name. So this is a must-watch video from CEO of Quant, Gilbert Verdien, 2 weeks ago at the Innovative Finance Summit. He truly believes that Quant is going to 1,000x, 1 billion to 1 trillion will do that. So what is he talking about? Smash that like if you haven't done so already. Let's listen to this. Here we go.
And what topic or theme was especially important for you guys today?
We're here because we're innovators in blockchain and interoperability, but more importantly, CBDCs. So we've been working with central banks to really innovate and bring together technology as the CBDC and what it means for a payment system or a financial system across the world.
And how does Quant relate to central bank digital currencies exactly?
We're the platform and the infrastructure that central banks and commercial banks can use to implement, pilot, and test CBDCs and tokenized assets in an interoperable way.
And so if we think of me or just any ordinary end user, why would I be interested in the central bank digital currency instead of just sending pounds, euros, whatever electronically?
I think as end users and consumers of money, we're using a system that's quite antiquated and it's built on legacy technology and legacy infrastructure. So what central bank digital currencies mean for us is a new form of money that's very digital and it can actually do things that our previous type of money can't do.
So, I mean, what kinds of things, for example?
Money of tomorrow, which is where we're heading, is able to create new products and new payment flows that enables us to create logic around it. So what that really means is if you want to send something to another party, you can remove all the risk, create conditions like if this happens, then release the money or take the tax out as I'm paying the money. So really automates a lot of business workflows and consumer needs.
So if I was standing here from a traditional big bank, do you think I should be a little bit worried?
No, they're the innovators. So the big banks in the UK, Europe, and the US, they're the ones leading the drive towards CBDCs because they're actually starting to implement what that means to their payment systems and to their infrastructure.
And I think some people on the libertarian right are slightly concerned that, a digital currency could somehow be switched on or off at will, depending on the central bank or the government. Do you think that's a realistic fear, or is that not?
No, I think that's quite a naive view of what a central bank currency can do. From a regulation perspective, it's going to be the same.
So, he's at least addressing the whole thing about some of the fears that we all have, right? And I'm glad that he recognizes that. This is something that is going to consistently be brought up, not just from the guy that was interviewing GEV, but at other conferences and so on. At the end of the day, I mean, if you're introducing something that's radical change, you better have a good selling point to get people on board on it. You can't come across that you're shoving this down people's throats, even if at the end of the day that may very well be what ends up happening. All right, I want to show you this next part, and on this, you're going to see an interview from a while back, right? And a shout out to Quant Papa. He did share this a few months back at the beginning of the year. So in this interview, you're going to see one of these top dogs, if you will, this guy from DAG. And like it says, quant, interconnect, big data, AI, government, healthcare, and so on. On my deep dive, that's going to be either later tonight or tomorrow, I'm going to dig deep into quant when it comes to specifically medical, as a healthcare and big government. All right. I want to thank Quant Papa, who just hooked me up with a ton of information. So be on the outlook for that. You're not going to want to miss that particular segment. It is big. But nonetheless, this was an important, vital event that happened back in December 3rd, 2019. And this is about 2 minutes, but my main key takeaway is this. And let me jump back to something else real quick before we play this. So earlier, you guys, for instance, I think for the most part, a lot of you guys did watch this video. And let me show you what I'm talking about. It's this right here from the recorded section. And by the way, I guess congrats to us. We have achieved a new milestone. We're now up to a little over 12,000 subs. That's pretty cool. We were in the 11s for a while. I want to state this. This is a big milestone. And the reason why it's a big milestone for us is because when I originally joined up with Larry a little over a year ago, all right, we had our anniversary, the beginning of April, something like that, or end of April, a couple weeks ago. So was it April 18th, I believe it was our 1 year of doing a live stream together. So technically speaking, that was 1 year of me joining up in CTN. So at the time, Larry had roughly 6,000 some odd subscribers. So basically, we have doubled our subs since then, and we've taken we have shifted obviously from the things that were covered back then when he was doing it and so on, like meme coins and so on, to focus on utility projects and so on. As the saying goes, it's all part of the learning, or all part of the journey, this crypto journey. So we don't hide the things that we used to report on. Obviously, that was Saitama and so on. A lot of you guys, for instance, were also into some of those things. But we have it available, part of the lineup of things that we have. Why do we keep that? I mean, we don't obviously want people to get into it, but it's a reference point, to a sense that this is the journey that we're on together, and that's where it's at. So yeah, nice milestone that we recently reached, and I'm gonna do my best to try to get us up to the next big milestones. It's gonna take quite a while to get to 15K. I'm just gonna be honest, but we are making headway, to say the least. So what am I talking about in regards to this whole thing of quant? And I want to show you some of these old clips. We're gonna get into that, but if you happen to have watched some of our recent videos, right, like this one, Jasmine and Quant Hyperledger Fabric equals interoperability with Overledger. I came up with some of these particular theories, if you will. At first it seems speculative, and then we found out, wow, this is not just speculative. Like, this is actually some pretty solid stuff. All right, with that said, hopefully you saw the video. If you haven't, that's okay. It is quite the deep dive. I'm going to jump back to what we have in regards to this to tie it all together. So let me just take a moment to do so. And here it basically is. And yeah, I'm going to play this. Shout out to Quant Papa, who provided some of the information. At the end of the day, think about just this real quick. the concept of data for Jasmy. They're all about data, personal data lockers, respecting the privacy of citizens' data all the way. Smash that like if you haven't done so already. This is the crypto news network you're looking for. Thanks for being here. Here we go.
We add security to data pipelines or the source of data where it's created. So a lot of what Constellation is focused on is securing streaming data processes. You think about all the data that Twitter produces every second. Well, how do you secure that? How do you put that on a distributed ledger technology? You have to rethink the entire architecture. And so we are building out a network that's hosted by node operators that receive rewards for validating data. We have a very active community, and we've rethought our consensus model so that it's compatible with existing data management stacks.
And you've announced today that you're going to be working with Quant Network. So perhaps you can tell us a bit about that partnership.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you. So we've been talking for the last few months. We see a great collaboration between the two technologies. What blockchain needs is big data, and what big data needs is blockchain. And by working together, what we've come up with is a way where we can actually decentralize properly, but allow, as Ben was saying, government and enterprise to safely interconnect big data sources to a decentralized world, but have interoperability. Because if you're using, let's just say, imaging data from healthcare in one blockchain, and then using an EMR that's a traditional database, it's just SQL, and then using something else on the third party, how do you get them to talk to each other? It's quite difficult. And how do you get them to talk together securely? And that's what the partnership is about, is how do we interconnect using a secure channel to the disparate data sources to allow AI and big data to flourish. And we're quite excited with what can happen. And we've got client use cases we're already exploring in government, in aerospace, in healthcare as well, which we've got a couple of RFIs that we've been working on. So we're really looking forward to applying both technologies in real world client engagements.
All right. So one of the key things I want to mention here basically is this, all right? You just heard Gilbert Verdian in that particular interview with this partnership with DOGE back in, 2019, December 2019. It's big, right? Well, like it was mentioned, in order for big data to flourish, you need secure smart contracts. I couldn't possibly agree more. GV also mentioned healthcare. Keep in mind this, Jasmy with the CARE project. So, why shouldn't DOGE, basically partner up with Quant? The example used by GV, those things simply make sense. Draw your own conclusion with what was mentioned today in regards to Quant and Jasmy in that big video. I obviously titled it that way on purpose, right? Hyper over ledger, as in hyperledger fabric with Quant's over ledger. That's actually a thing, allows for interoperability. So if Quant basically applied for that Japanese patent, and we saw that, and by the way, I actually have the document for the official patent, and that will be in the next deep dive for Quant. Then at the end of the day, if Jasmy, which by the way, guys, congratulations, everybody holding Jasmy, we're now in the top 100. All these things simply make sense. How we take it to the next step, take it further, right? I think it would be with what? Interoperability. Call it speculative, but man, to me, that simply makes sense. So I will state this. I'm going to kick it back to the comments on our next particular thing that we have as far as our lineup tonight. We are going to discuss Stellar. And there was a recent interview in regards to Donnell Dixon of Stellar, and for instance, Jenny Johnson, who's the CEO of Franklin Templeton. So we'll get into that breakdown here in a bit. Smash that like if you haven't done so already. It does help get this particular broadcast out to a broader base. All right. I'm going to read a few more comments. One's from Brian Dowie. Oh, you have a conversation with Michael. That's cool stuff. All right. So Boomer says Paul slows the pace of the game. Chris Paul injured. Didn't see that one. All right. I want to welcome Mr. Selmo Flood. I don't even know if you're still here, but thanks, Selmo, for being here. I'm about an hour behind. Sorry about that. All right. Cool Cat has got some words of wisdom from the cat up above saying, "What's up to all my people? Shorty rock, one love." No, I'm kidding. Don't keep all your stuff in one wallet. Spread it out into at least 3 wallets. That's a good way of looking at it. And that's why people buy more than one, or have, I should say buy more than one. Some people have, for instance, more than one ledger, or they'll have a ledger and they'll have, like some of you guys mentioned, Decent Wallet and so on, or Exodus, or, there you go. But, it's a good way of looking at it, just in case if something bad should happen. It's kind of like saying, if you have all your eggs in one basket, right? Have multiple baskets. Let's go into some of this, see if you guys have any specific questions. You guys got some good comments, though. Welcome to Josh. He says, no, in my opinion, we were going to be grandfathered in when it comes to cold wallets and crypto in general. Can't take my assault rifle or my crypto. Yeah. It's definitely one way to look at it. Bitcoin Core can't scale at all. Yeah, I mean, it can't. Like, BTC can't scale, period. But you're going to have the maxis come out and defend, for instance, the Lightning Network. And I'm not bashing the Lightning Network, but, that's just one way to look at it. Sorry, Mr. Henry Brown, I didn't see your super sticker until now. I did double check the other screen. Thank you so much. Let me just double check the other screen one more time. I do appreciate it. Henry Brown. Man, double check the other screen. It went away. Must have been because of all the comments, which is good. Nothing wrong with good comments. All right. Appreciate it, though, man. Hopefully you're still here. Let's see where we're at in some of these specific ones. These are 2 musical brothers, Michael Montclair and Henry Brown. Hello, everyone. Much love and respect. Same to you, Henry. Thank you. And another musical talent is also Mr. Selmo Fudd. All right. Profit says traders run deeper than most. No. Welcome back to Profit. I think you got a custom built PC right there, don't you not? Oh, no, you do not. From a distance, you know what it looked like? It looked like a computer, like an ATX tower. And then, you had your cable management kind of just drifting off. That was an optical illusion. I know what it is now. It's like a skeleton. That's funny. Weird, huh? Okay. Let me just catch up on where I was on the placement of comments. Skull Guy, I want to welcome you. He says Fender Strat. It's an interesting avatar. That's pretty cool, though. I like that. J-Rod says, I finally have 2 million Jasmine coins, and my goal is 3 million X. Man, you got me beat. That's pretty darn impressive. I do not think we will see these low prices for long. That's where I'm literally on the fence. I mean, I am the type of guy, I do not like selling for a loss, but at the same time, I'm looking at it from the perspective man, I might just go ahead and do it. I might just I don't know. I might put a portion of my tax return that I still have on reserve for Jasmine because of these prices, but we'll see. Where are we at on Jasmine right now? In the 6s, I believe, right? Let's pull this up for a second. Yeah, we'll keep that up there for just a moment. Hold on a second. Let me share that with you guys. So we're sitting at 0.006748. We'll go back down to the 5s. I don't know. I think we've had great support at 6, though. All right. Interesting. Interesting from a bad point. I don't want to. Interesting as I don't want to picture that. Hit the like. It won't hit you back. Very good point. 1,000 XRP could be huge. Even if I agree with that. Even just 500, I would agree with that. Waiting for 10,000 XLM. Yeah, on both of these things. I mean, it just, even with Ripple, I mean, some people say that it's going to be worth more than Stellar, but I have mentioned this. If we get to, for instance, 10,000 in XRP, I think, for instance, XLM would be at least like 6,500, 7K. Obviously, I think eventually Stellar could go to 10,000. I've gotten some criticism in the comments. People call me a dreamer. It's okay. The way I look at it is, if I didn't do more of my own research, I probably think I was, myself or the next guy's a dreamer as well. Don't feel bad about that, Cool Cat. Like I mentioned before, right? So I can remember Dubai, but just because you can't, I want to beat yourself up about it. Here, how about this? This is bad. So I have an entrepreneurship emphasis for my MBA. Does that mean I still know how to remember, or I can remember how to spell entrepreneurship? No, I have to Google it every time. I'll be honest. I have to Google it every time, something that I have an emphasis for my MBA. I think even the word entrepreneur, I might have to Google that too. I think I might be able to get it up right half the time, but entrepreneurship, for whatever reason, I just got to force myself, like, look, man, probably if I read it back verbatim or did visual, there's an old saying back when I used to take, it used to be part of drama, stage and stuff like that, right? For theater, repeat your lines 3 times and then you have it down over and over and over. And usually the third time's the charm, but in reality, entrepreneurship, if I read that thing 10 times, I don't know if I'll still get it. So anyway, I like this comment from Magic Power. Jasmine breaking the top 100 approved new patent and now over 50,000 holders. Yeah, the next particular Jasmine video, we'll do a breakdown for some of those things that you mentioned. I'm sure you saw some of the, things in Japanese, hit the translation. There were some recent reports on that. It's good stuff. All right. Quant Pop is the man. Got to give it up to him. Yeah, I do. He's an incredibly nice person too. Like, I've been DMing back and forth. You should see some of the things that he mentions in the DM. I mean, I can't share everything, but I will state this. His thing is he just wants. It puts a smile on his face to be able to share his info, and he just wants to see people in general, become like wealthy and so on. He's not necessarily like he's mentioned that he doesn't want to come on screen. He's not looking to become like a star. He's new to like social media. Not that he, is like oblivious to social media. It's just like he was saying that, like, for the first time in 10 plus years, he's used social media. I get that. A lot of times you don't want to come on social media, whether it's Facebook. Like, I have a buddy, he never used Facebook. Why does he never want to use Facebook? It's because his attitude is it's kind of like high school all over again. I get that. But Quant Papa, how about this? The last Rich or Common Sense Crypto video, right? He features Quant Papa's work, right? He might not say like, hey, this is from Quant Papa. He doesn't really do much of that. Like, once in a while he'll say this is from so-and-so. As you guys know, he just boom, 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 reads the stuff, and that's fine. We're all different, but I'm glad that Quant Papa is getting a lot of recognition because he definitely deserves it. All right, Magic Power, the new Jasmine patent shows how complex, intelligent, and safe the Jasmine platform will be. Protecting data is their priority. They're leaps and bounds ahead of any competition out there. They are. This concept of, they're in Japan, that they, want to respect like an honor systems of different culture and stuff. You better believe it. And on the last outline, one of the last outlines for Jasmine in the recorded videos, we point out some of these things that at least I feel as though, this further solidifies that Jasmine wasn't a rug pull. Maybe on the chart, some people are going to say, well, this is a blatant rug pull. Technically, you can say the same thing about XRP. But I don't think Jasmine was a rug pull. They had more than enough opportunities with that burn address to make it a rug pull. They haven't burned any particular coins and tokens. At the end of the day, guess what? Solid projects don't really need to do burns, technically speaking. So it's kind of like they recognize that they still have that mechanism in place to do burns. They choose not to do burns. Now, for all the people who are like, well, great. You know, they need to have burns because otherwise we're not going to get to some of the goals of $17+ max. I understand that. Watch the latest video in regards to Jasmine. He's going to answer some of your questions. One thing in particular is institutional staking. What is that all about? What is that? Is, you know, when is that going to take place and so on? I do the full breakdown. That's why we have some of these recorded videos. Solid triple X bags, XRP is 5,000, XLM 10,000, XDC 20,000. Cool, man. Very, very cool. Cars and Crypto says, well deserved, 12K subs. Keep cracking, Max. Sub, thank you. Appreciate that, man. We'll keep grinding away, just like you guys keep your grind going on as well. But glad to have you here, Mr. Cars and Crypto. I want to welcome back Seeker of Truth. J-Rod says, you do the best deep dive videos on Jasmine, man. Yeah, I'm really trying to help, as Larry would say, our network really stand out, because at the end of the day, you know, you guys have seen it yourself. I mean, in crypto, right, it's all about supply and demand. As a content creator, it's also about supply and demand. You gotta appease what works. Now, I want to state this, like, we cover quite a few different projects. Everything you see tagged, you know, usually gets coverage. It might not get all coverage in one day. Like, not every day is going to be, as I would refer to it as, you know, WrestleMania, right? But we do cover everything that you see tagged. So my thing is this, you know, there's only so much time in the day, and yeah, you're going to see times where I might put out, like, just, man, Max is putting out a bunch of Jasmine content. I got to keep up with the supply and demand. Or if it's quant. So our three top players right now, obviously Jasmine is number one. Quant probably is our number two, as far as, like, you know, new viewers, audience reception, subscribers, and stuff like that. And Stellar has really been doing well for us as well. So I mean, like, consistently, those have to be the ones. I do feel bad sometimes, like, not putting out enough XDC videos, but again, it's just it is time consuming. You got to keep in mind, it's just, you got to find, like, some of the research, and then you got to put it together, you got to render it, you got to know what you're talking about. But you know, that's why we have these daily live shows. So for anybody who's like, well, he doesn't have these recorded videos on XDC as much as he used to, or, you know, HBAR, some of these other things. Again, this is why we have the live shows. We talk about all these particular things. And then, you know, if we have time to, you know, still put something together and record and put it out, we will. My hope is when Larry gets a little bit better, that he'll start doing some of the, you know, chopping stuff up and, you know, putting in videos and so on. So, but thank you. I do appreciate that comment. And you, J-Rod. All right. And you have a very impressive holding of Jasmine, so congratulations to you. J-Rod, you should see his deep dive into Pink Taco. You know what? You should. At the end of the day, you should absolutely see that. Why so? Am I referring to some of the DGen talk? No. I'm referring to some of the best pink tacos of Phoenix. They're absolutely delicious. With that said, you know, we have Taco Tuesday here in Phoenix, and literally there is a lady. She's about 4 or 5 blocks down the road, and I should take a picture of it sometime for you, Mr. Brian Dowie. Yes, I know you hear me right now. You're probably laughing. That's okay. It's a real thing. She has a food truck, Pink Taco food truck. I am not kidding you. And it has a great thing, a big thing on the side, like a slogan. It says, like, no substitutions, no customizations. Like, she's really strict on it. Like, she's one of those type of people, like, don't ask for salt or whatever. But yeah, I thought it was a joke, and it's not a joke. We really do have a pink taco. Now, it's not Pink Taco Inu, and maybe I should, you know, explain to her, hey, there's this guy, his name is Brian Dowie from Toronto, Ontario, Canada, and, you know, you should basically tokenize your food truck by offering Pink Taco Inu. So what started out as a joke, Mr. Brian Dowie, might actually be a real thing. Right back at you, my friend. Dabs from the metaverse. Dabs from the metaverse. All right. Let's go further down. School Guy, how much HBAR and LCX? Oh, man, that's a good question. I mean, I own both of those, but I didn't really look at it from the perspective of, hey, man, I need to, you know, have a certain amount with these. So I'm not going to BS you on that. Some of these other guys can give you an example. I think one already did. HBAR 10K. You know what? I think I got to double check where I'm at with my H bar. I think I might be at that goal already. And then I also think I'm at some of these goals and then some with LCX. But yeah, these are some good examples. And I'm glad that you're interested in H bar and LCX. And how about this, guys? Give the skull guy with a great looking avatar. Look at that, for crying out loud. I mean, that's a skull with a sombrero. Back in my early 20s, I used to just have a mustache, no beard. And, people used to say, they would think I was Mexican. I've gone through different stages in my own life as far as my looks. So when I was a little kid, believe it or not, I was told that I look like I'm, like a little Chinese kid, basically. And my attitude is like, well, I am part Chinese. I mean, I'm a quarter Chinese. Actually, I'm not quarter Chinese. I'm 1/8 Chinese. My bad, which is not a quarter. But anyway, my mom, she was 25% Chinese, but yeah, my grandparents on her side, half Chinese, half Filipino. Her grandmother was 100% Chinese, but it's like, yeah. So as a little kid, I even had to deal with racism, unfortunately. I'll never forget second grade, first day of school, being called a CHINK, and get out of my way, you blank, and then getting punched right in the nose just because I was, appeared to be Chinese. Stupidest thing ever. Never forget that guy. But it was you learn real quick going from private school, a Christian school, to the public school system, the differences. I used to think and then be naive as a little kid that I never experienced mean people until I went to public school, but I'm glad I did. But anyway, yes, had the mustache just like that is what I'm trying to say. And so different stages. So roughly between age 18 to, 24, just had the mustache. And that's what reminds me of that. So cool avatar. Let's welcome School Guy, who is somebody I never seen in the comments. Maybe you're here on the weekend. I don't know. Hopefully we see more of you. So guys, give them a warm welcome. Any more questions, comments you have, feel free to drop it. Then you go with XDC, and that's not a bad thing to do either. That is my consistent number 4 in my top 5. There you go. All right. Jasmine on fire. Crypto Jedi, welcome. Glad to have you here. 7:24, now 7:42, so I'm only about half an hour behind. How many sets of deadlifts you effers done? I haven't done any deadlifts in a while, but back in high school, that's a long time ago, I used to weigh 180 and I used to be able to bench 220, and it used to be a big deal if you could bench your weight. And that was my freshman year of high school. So obviously it got stronger since then. But Kev Cleveland says, hi, all. Glad to have you here, Mr. Kev Cleveland. And let's go further down. Crypto Jedi says he transferred his Nexera from Uphold to his Ledger and thought he had 10K. After the transfer, you were short 200 Nexera. Darn Uphold charges. Ooh. All right. Bitcoin going to 0.006 and Jasmine going to 29. I think I know what you meant, but that's funny how you worded it that way. All right, welcome back, Crypto Channel. Let's get it back into our lineup because let me see. The game started 43 minutes ago, and I do want to be able to see a good portion of that. I want to watch at least the second half. All right, so let's finally kick it into this. This is going to be our stellar segment. So smash that like if you haven't done so already. Thank you to everybody who's here tonight. Maybe we can tick up to 60, and that'd be cool. All right, so let me show you guys this. And like I mentioned earlier, this was posted, I believe, yesterday. Oh, it was posted today. So this is only a few hours old. All right, so here we are. The power of blockchain in financial services with Franklin Templeton and Stellar. Here's what it says in the description, if you're wondering about that. In this engaging conversation, Danelle Dixon, CEO of Stellar Development Foundation, and Jenny Johnson, CEO of Franklin Templeton, discussed the innovative journey of Franklin Templeton in the world of financial services, focusing on their adoption of blockchain technology. They also share their backgrounds, personal connections, and experiences in their respective careers. From choosing the Stellar blockchain to navigating the regulatory landscape, they explore the challenges and benefits of this transformational shift. It doesn't say transformational, but you know what I mean. Get a glimpse into the future of financial services as these two leaders share their insights and experiences in embracing innovation. Now, of course, this is 24 minutes. I'm not going to be able to play the whole thing, but I'm going to play some key spots that I heard. And then I will pause it, kick it in the comments a bit, and I'll play another key area. And then on top of that, we have an outline that was posted on the 24th. And I'll just give you a heads up on what that is. It says Franklin Templeton announces the Franklin On-Chain U.S. Government Money Fund, which surpasses 270 million in assets under management. And why, of course, that's significant in itself. Of course, has to be in relation to Stellar, and where they're a big player in that regard. There's a little bit more that we have in regards to CoinDesk. This was posted back originally on the 26th and updated today at 1:13. And basically it says a $1.4 trillion financial giant expands its money market fund on Polygon. So understand that Franklin Templeton is a big player in regards to all of this, and especially with this partnership that they have with Stellar. So we're going to go ahead and play this. I'm going to rewind just a tad. I think it's about right here. And here we go.
Department. And actually, it was an amazing experience because at the time, credit card companies were starting to use data to really predict their clients' behavior. And they were really at the forefront of it. And so I became passionate about how data can truly predict people's behavior. So I did that for some years, and then we launched an auto lending business and did that for a while. And then this thing called the internet was starting to come along, and we decided that we needed to catch up and build a website and figure out what we were going to do with it. And you remember when the internet first came out, people thought of their website more like a billboard. You know, it wasn't going to be this communication. Yeah. And so I ran the e-business group, and it was always funny because we'd try to get content from the marketing department, and you know, they'd hand you these long brochures because nobody really understood that you needed to, you know, skinny it down for what was going to be on the web. And then at that time, sort of anything to do with the internet was under me, and eventually the internet sort of overtook the technology department. So then I ran all of technology, and then ran our operational groups, and then eventually became president and have had, you know, every part of the company under me at some point in time.
That's so awesome. Thinking about the internet, I remember when I first started practicing law, so this was in around 97, we were able to use the internet, but we charged our clients for emails.
Wow.
Because it was like they were taking the photocopy.
Oh yeah,
like thinking it like in the same way, like doing the email that way. And there were only a certain number of computers in the office that had access to the email.
Wow.
It was just a really different dynamic. And then I think about today, I mean, most of your business must be just it's already all been digital for a long time, but like online, and
for sure.
That's how your customers engage. And
for sure. And you know, we're a Microsoft shop, so we use Microsoft Teams, and you know, we have over 100 offices, 35 countries. The ability to see when somebody's online, you know, like I might need to talk to somebody in India, and you know, maybe it's 10 p.m. for me or 10 p.m. for them, and I can see them online, and I can write a quick chat and say, hey, do you have a minute? It's amazing how efficient these tools. Now, the problem is, of course, you can't really turn off either.
Never shut down.
Which is always the challenge.
But it brings the world together. I mean, that's the whole intent, right? For the web was like, we bring the world together without borders, which is clearly like the same intent that we have with blockchain technology, is it can create a borderless world, certainly for remittances. But in terms of like the tools that you're building, it doesn't create a borderless world, but it certainly simplifies things.
Oh, for sure. And I actually think it's going to drive a lot of cost out of the system, which is good for our clients,
Good for
right?
business.
You know, if we can deliver higher quality services and do it for less, that's win-win for everybody. And there's no question, you know, again, having run the technology and the operations department, I know most big financial services firms probably still have a mainframe, you know, that's in there, and certainly have enough systems that are doing batch processing at night. I mean, we forget, you know, the New York Stock Exchange had to close in the afternoon so they could settle all the trades. Blockchain, it happens immediately.
Real-time settlement.
Yeah.
It's complicated. And it's an interesting thing. It's such a great innovation for financial services, and it is complicated to implement in all the different products that you have out there. What was the decision at Franklin Templeton to sort of like jump into this? Because you guys were, I mean, frankly, you're the first one in the money market space. You guys were really early because you started this process in, was it 2020? 2019?
Oh, I think it was earlier than that. I think it might have been 2017 or 18 that we first started talking about it. You know, first of all, we've been in the money market business since the 70s, right? And so it was recognizing that this was an opportunity to, you know, potentially, and I don't know that we knew exactly what we were doing as we got into it. I think, you know, again, being in a family business for 3 generations, I tend to think like, what if I blow it and miss some great innovation for the 4th generation? Like, you don't want to be the person who does that. And so we have a lot of things going on. We have an incubator. We, you know, use part of our balance sheet to invest in companies that we can think might be disruptive. And so this was just one of those things that we look at. And I think about today, the 2 big technologies that I think will be the most disruptive. One is blockchain, the other is AI to traditional, you know, financial services. So the only way to do it is to kind of dive in and try some things. And so, you know, it was under a guy by the name of Roger Baston, who actually ran our fixed income group. So part of the fixed income team. So, you know, they came up, I'm not sure who came up with the idea, but, you know, let's try building the shareholder servicing system on the blockchain.
And in terms of process for you guys, it wasn't just we make the decision and we can now go do it. You have regulatory bodies that you have to work with.
Yeah.
So how was that?
I mean, I have to say the SEC was terrific about meeting with us, and it was a journey for all of us, you know, trying to understand exactly how to go about this. And, you know, it took probably a couple of years, but brought them along, and we became educated in the process, and the rest is history.
Well, it's so funny because I remember, I think it was in November of 2019, there was a filing that you guys had made that was picked up by, and it was the first mention of using the Stellar blockchain. And I was like, this is exactly the way that you want open technology to work. You guys looked at this, made your decisions about what you were going to do. No one had to force you. Like, no one went out and said, hey, we're going to pay you lots of money to do this. You guys figured it out. We were thrilled to see that, because that's exactly what we want to see happen all over the world. And what we do see happen, not at this scale necessarily, but small individual developers in other parts of the world can grab the technology and do it. But once we did, we were like, hey, we should be talking to them. And so we started the conversations, and it's just been so nice to watch the journey.
Yeah.
And to watch that, you know, you guys like did very methodically approach this.
Yeah.
And so what are the benefits that you see for?
Well, I mean, of course, you know, at the time we were, you know, trying to figure out which platform to use. And, you know, I think we ended up with Stellar because of really the capabilities that you guys have that were so important for the regulatory environment, right? I mean, so this concept of being able to, you know, claw back a transaction, right? That's important. We're required to do that. If there's something that happens, you got to be able to fix some of those things, and, you know, have this control environment in which we're responsible for. And, you know, the Stellar chain allowed us to do some of those things. And then also, you guys Stellar's amazing with how cheap your gas fees are. I mean, yeah, there's nobody else that comes near that. And, you know, that's important to us and important to our clients. So it's really been I think a terrific journey together.
Yeah, the idea of the way the network has the consensus mechanism on the network, the way that it operates is to try to maintain those low fees for developers. Ultimately, developers like you are the ones who you still like have to set it up, the processes, and certain developers are going to have to charge certain things to layer on for their clients. But like, that's the notion. Like, technology should be on that side of it. It should be on the side to keep things low, so that everything else can grow on top of it. So that makes me super happy to hear. It's one of the things we're building other parts of the network with the ecosystem, smart contract layers, all those things, and keeping classic stellar. And even on the smart contract layer, really watching and maintaining those fees is a really important part of what we want to see. In terms
All right, so that's a good interview. I didn't want to play all of it, but you know, you could. What are they mainly talking about? Some of the regulatory things that are happening. They're all talking about. It doesn't matter if it's stellar, you name it. Could we see some things finally come together? Yeah. How long is that going to take, though? Exactly. All right, I'm going to read some more comments. You guys, of course, have said some things in regards to Nexera and so on, like Crypto Jedi. You need to buy more Nexera to have your 10K. So you're at least sticking to your goals. That's cool. Brian Alley says his exchange charges him 3 XRP to move XRP to your ledger. Dave D, welcome. Glad to have you back. And how about this? Tim, that free XRP is making up for it. All right. Cool Cat says Larry likes the anal assault setting on his bidet. Wow. That is something. Selma Flood says no Jasmine for me, but PayPay all the way. All right. Let's see here. I don't condone. This always confuses me. It's okay. All right. Everyone's talking about Larry's bidet. My God. All right. Selma Flood, quant below 100. You better believe it. That's where it's headed with quant. That's fine with me. I mean, that's more buying opportunities for me. All right, Magic Power. Jasmine has it in their white paper to burn coins if they want, or they choose to lock up the coins. Yeah. Well, you know, and knowing that institutional staking, that was also mentioned in the recent video. So basically in regards to that, you know, the way I look at it is they're going to be going through a vesting period. And, you know, basically speaking, it is ironically not going to be an ERC20 token. It will actually be one that's deployed on XDC. Because at the end of the day, everybody wants some fast pink taco Inu. You got to keep in mind, you know, you can actually use their governance token, which is used on specific purchases of other, not just pink tacos, but you can get like, you know, some burritos and things like that. Yeah. All right. Elon Musk, 70% lockup is almost a 3x. I mean, that's a big deal. See, Mr. Elon Musk knows what he's talking about when it comes to the math and all that. Crypto Jedi, pink tacos that smell like fish but taste like chicken. Just like Method Man. What's this? Smells like fish. Who I am, who I'm with. G.I. Joe with the Kung Fu grip. All right. Grade the guy. Welcome back. Hello, my dear friend Max. The time has come to accumulate more assets at pennies to the dollar. Yeah. Yeah, there is some definite opportunities going on as we speak. Selma Fuzz says, Dan Bryan, you were like Rodney Dangerfield. You get no respect. Yeah, I miss Rodney Dangerfield. He was my all-time favorite comedians. My mom as well. She loved him. Was it Back to School? That was one of the funniest movies ever. Love that movie. Grade the God, 200,000 LCX is what you need for life-changing wealth. That's a lot of LCX. I have to double check how much I have. Brian Allen said, Max, I'm an expert when it comes to pink tacos. Well, that's good. You know, I'm glad that you are an expert in regards to some of that. And there's nothing wrong with having some, you know, pink tacos once in a while, and especially if you can purchase some pink taco Inu. So you're welcome. I'll have to drive by that food truck sometime and take a picture for you and post it and tag it on Twitter. All right. All right. That will be a face dive. Yes, especially on a Tuesday, on Taco Tuesday. who is not face diving some delicious, tacos. All right, Coochie Boy, brain, are they better to hold with? Oh my gosh! All right, jeez. All right, I'm gonna skip some of these comments. I want to welcome back Crypto John. Check him out on YouTube, obviously. So what's up, brother? Sorry it's been a while. Well, not too far back. I don't even know if you're still here, but that's okay. You might be doing like a Jasmine video or H-bar or something like that. But yeah, good to see you too, brother. He says doing cardio as he's watching. Hope he's not too late. Oh, very cool, man. Very cool. You're not too late. We're probably gonna get into some of the more of the outline that we have for Stellar. Guys, check out Crypto John. We'll give him a plug here in a bit. Great content creator. I personally also watch his content. Here he is. And let me just share his channel. There he is. He's at 18.2K subs. Man, you're killing it. On a path to financial freedom, like he says. And he covers quite a few projects like HBAR, Quant, Pepe, Gala. I can't remember which way to pronounce that sometimes. Obviously, he covers Jasmine. So covers quite a few things that we also cover. But I think you're overall a pretty good guy, and people see that. And you have a pretty good breakdowns with your perspective of what you share. People I think like the format of how you go about it, like whether you're talking it from your car or you're out in the woods or whatever. You could totally tell that people do like your content. So check him out if you haven't done so already, guys. He is Crypto John. We'll leave his page up there for a bit. All right. I want to welcome this guy. I haven't seen you in a while. ISO Jetpack J0229, because the first 228 were taken. Peace to all the family here. If you're not getting Algorand, what are you doing? Yeah, at these prices, that's a good point. And I do have my bags packed for Algo. How about this? Bray the Gods is letting Crypto John know that he'll be joining his Patreon soon. Interesting. All right. Dingy says, hey, Max, I got to your channel because I was looking up deep dives on Jasmine Stellar. All right. I appreciate that feedback because you know what? We do wonder sometimes, like, well, I could put two and two together in regards to, like, if somebody makes a comment from a recorded video and then I see you in the live, then I'm like, okay, obviously this person, came from like a Jasmine video or something like that. But thanks for sharing that because it does definitely help. All right. I'm just going to read a few more comments and then I'm going to kick it back to what we have. You're not sure if the Lakers will win big this time. We'll see what happens in that regard. Jasmine holders pushed to the rank of 100. It's actually, I think, at like 98. Let me double check that. Where are we at on the ranking? I don't like the new update on CMC, to be honest. I'm not that crazy about it. It has the placement of the ranking in a different area. Well, let me see where Jasmine is currently ranked right now. Oh, okay, we're back up to 101, but we had a dip in the market, but I did see it as much as 98, and that was a real big milestone. Jasmine in the top 20 is coming bull run. You know what? I'm rooting for that. I don't know if that necessarily happens. Maybe that sounds like a little bit of FUD. I mean, it could happen, but yeah, keep in mind. I mean, to be in the top 20, you're really like that would make him a big power player. I mean, I'm rooting for that. I hope it happens. But you also got to keep in mind there's some other cryptos that will also shift towards the top 20 as well. But will it be near that and then some? I think that could be very well the case, but maybe not necessarily top 20, but maybe like top 25, top 30. But you could be right. I hope it happens. All right. So let's go ahead and highlight that. We'll kick it back into more what we have on this outline. And check out Crypto John. All right. I want to play a little bit more of what we have in regards to this interview. So I'm going to just go ahead and jump right back into this. Give me just a second. Here we go. Yeah, I'm going to leave it at this part because it gets a little bit better. All right. And if anything, I might play the rest of this actually. Yeah, you know what? That's not too long. I'm gonna play the rest of this. It gets really, really good here. Here we go. And again, this is new.
In terms of like what you see next with respect to whether that be Franklin Templeton or other folks out there that you see like leveraging blockchain, not just Stellar, like any, like what do you see happening with this ecosystem? I mean, you've been through a gamut of financial services. So how do you see this?
So I think it's a couple of things. First of all, I do think, so today we announced adding Polygon to the, to the Benji ecosystem. And I do think this cross-chain or interoperability is going to be really important. So until that improves, I think that's going to slow some of the progress, right? And I describe it a little bit like if you were trying to put together an investment portfolio and you had to choose between the New York Stock Exchange and the NASDAQ, you wouldn't be able to pull together a full portfolio. So I think that's something that's going to hold it back a little bit, but it's getting better, right? But I can tell you what we're excited about. One, once we built the system, I mean, we were pretty astonished by how cost effective it really was. We ran 4 transfer agency systems that we had ourselves over the years that we had acquired. And so we understood all of the different, that one was on a mainframe and others were on an AS400 and various things, right? To see how efficient this system is once it's built on the chain where you have the permanent record, got us really excited to say, okay, we can do more. So then we think about, well, what other things can we do? What gets me fired up is not only do I think that it's going to be more efficient, but it's going to open up new types of investment capabilities. And I love to use the example of Rihanna's NFT, where she issued 300 of them. I'm sure she was just dabbling in it.
Yep.
At, $210 each, you get 0.0033% of one of her songs in a royalty. The only way that you could do that is because you have blockchain, which does 1, it allows a payment mechanism, 2, a smart contract, and 3, that you can prove you own it with the general ledger. And so, imagine 0.0033 is infinitesimal as far as what a payment is. But here somebody can play her song on Spotify. Smart contract says, okay, you have the right to this, and comes in and pays you in your token. That's pretty revolutionary. And so now you think about all the different ways in which you can unlock, and making these things investable and accessible to the average person. So you can imagine Rihanna fans are the ones probably buying this initially.
Yeah, of course.
But imagine if an athlete, he signs a big contract and he wants to sell 10% of, his future earnings. Think of the fans that would love to buy into that. And so, there'll be the financial portion of it, and then what we're calling the kind of the cultural asset portion. So what I get excited about is neither of those examples are correlated at all to traditional equity and fixed income. And somebody building an institutional investment portfolio really looks for uncorrelated assets. 2022 was an unusual and difficult year for institutional investors because both the equity market and the fixed income market dropped. That doesn't happen often.
Yeah.
So it was a double whammy. So imagine if you had been able to access some of these other types of real assets and have them be uncorrelated. So that's what gets me really excited. I think we're going to be able to build better, more personalized portfolios for our clients.
It's so great. I love that you talked about the interoperability. Cross-chain interoperability to me is the only way that we can actually make sure that we don't end up with the same financial infrastructure we have today, which is antiquated and old. Yeah. So cross-chain piece is so, so important. We focus so much on this notion of figuring out how those bridges can be safe and how you can do. Yes. Right now, the best cross-chain, the best way to do interoperability is through a centralized entity like yourself, so that you can do that issuance on different chains. But eventually, I think it'll come. And I think that actually opens the world up too. And it's more in line with the way that we wanted the internet to be. The underlying infrastructure is decentralized and open and standards-based, but everything on top sort of grew very isolated and centralized. That's not what we wanted, and we don't want that in financial services. So that makes me super happy. And then from the standpoint of what the assets, like I feel like that's super limitless. Like the things that can like come together and be pulled. And I think it's like, I am not the creative type. I'm really good at organizing things. I'm really good at putting things together. I'm really good at like managing and bringing companies and individuals together. The creative part though, I marvel at that. So when I watch people come up with these ideas, that is what like drives it for me.
No, and I've heard of some amazing ones, but and this is an old one that's been around for a while and kind of poorly executed, but I think it kind of gives you an idea of what's to come. But there's a St. Regis in Aspen where they've tokenized it. So in theory, your token gets paid just like a dividend on the stock you own, part of that company. But when you check in, they'll say, "Oh, you're an owner. You get a room upgrade." So you can imagine tying those types of things. In the Rihanna case, she could also say, not only am I going to give you the rights to royalties on the song, but actually I'm going to give you 2 concerts that you can, in the next 5 years, that you can get front row seats. And let's say, you use one and then you're no longer a Rihanna, fan, you sell it to me. I will have that right carried in that token. We don't have to go check with any third party. It's embedded in that smart contract. So I think we're just at the early stages. I always say it's a little bit like when Apple came out with the iPhone and you were like, "Oh, it's pretty cool. I got, a camera and a, I don't know, music and my phone." And what Apple was doing was unlocking the creativity of people.
Yes.
And that's where we are, I think, in this ecosystem.
I think so too. And I think that's the best way to think about it. Unlocking the creativity and also allowing it so that one of the things I love about your story about Rihanna and that idea is that it could get to those individuals who wouldn't normally be able to acquire something.
Right.
Because it could be that even that 0.033% is actually affordable to them.
Yes.
And so then you're creating that access.
Yeah.
That they might not have had before, which is what makes me super happy too, and which is the point of the technology, is to open the infrastructure up.
Well, and I think if that gets younger people saving and investing, that's a really good thing.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one of the challenges we have in this country, is that people wait too long to start saving for retirement. So if they actually start doing it because they love the assets that they're doing, great.
So what can we in the blockchain and crypto space learn from someone who has been in this space for been in the financial services space for as long as you have, and we can maybe do a little differently?
Look, in the end, this will be regulated. It's frustrating. There's not clarity. It's always hard to, if you're playing a game and you don't know what the rules are, that can be difficult. But I think we have to, work constructively with the regulators, because it's coming, right? Because it's going to be the core to financial services. So I think that's one thing. I think the other thing is this has been very much a technology-driven story, and that doesn't always resonate with people. So, one of the things when I go out and try to talk about it, I like to have the examples of a Rihanna, because some people, they'll go, "Oh, now I get it," right? And so I think we have to talk about it in ways in which we are helping people improve their lives, right? What is it that it's going to do for me? The technology is just the tool. And so I think more of those kind of conversations are important.
Yeah, it is the thing that I say all the time. And I think if you have to lead with the technology, you've already lost some of the conversation, because people want to know how it benefits them.
Yeah.
Everybody does.
Yes.
Like, that's just the nature of who we are as humans.
Totally.
We get interested in something because it'll benefit either us or it'll change the world for someone we know. And that's the part that I think that we're just getting to.
True. Now I have a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you think about like the public blockchains and the private blockchains? A lot of the traditional financial services institutions are sort of creating private blockchains. How do you see that?
Well, I think that the largest competitor to blockchain is obviously databases. So essentially the private blockchains are just like a glorified database. And that's what the public blockchains are too, right? We're just a database. That's our big competition. From my standpoint, I feel like the minute that you get into the private network and the private blockchains, you're actually eliminating what the blockchain is really good at. That immutability that nobody else can touch. The fact that when you're on a public network, you know that like we can't change any of those things that just happened, because they happen and they're recorded and they're done. And that's a huge part of it. The notion on a public blockchain that you're having people all over the world who are contributing to the continuity of that blockchain means that ideation and creativity is going to continue to build on that blockchain, and people have a voice in what the next step is. You don't get that on the private blockchains. So while I think that there's a place for everything, again, databases are really, really important. And some people are much more comfortable with that not being public. I think that for the public piece, what we need to do, and this is what you're going to see over the next 5 years, I think, is a lot more focus on the privacy angle and making sure that when you do get those, like, let's just say that the Benji, like the Benji token you could then use to go buy something at Starbucks. You really want those kinds of transactions so that users can feel that they're not going to be able to be found out who each individual user is. These are things that we as an industry are already working through. And so I think that you'll see more of that. And then it just becomes less and less problematic. It's also a lot cheaper to work on a public blockchain because there's lots of people powering. The internet is so easy to use because lots of servers are powered.
Well, and on that point, I always think the example of the fact that Ethereum went through the merge where they went from proof of work to proof of stake. Like having run an IT department, just imagine like that weekend, you were going to have this massive re-architecture of all these businesses have been built and you're going to right underneath them going to completely change the platform. And oh, by the way, there's no project manager. There's nobody really in charge. You're counting on this group of people to sort of get it done. And it happens without a hitch. And every business on there benefited from it without paying a dime. So I think that over time, I think you were talking about where, people are contributing and you can take those pieces and be able to leverage them again. It's going to be harder, I think, for those private blockchains to keep up with the capabilities.
And the other part about it is part of the value of it is that you actually do have this ability to not have one of the things, getting back to the web days, like you think Apple and Google, Android and iOS, like everybody needed to learn to build individually for each of those, the different platforms. Ultimately, what you want are standards to be created so that you actually can build for all of the different chains out there and then have them all be interoperable. When you're in a private chain, that doesn't happen. So you need to learn how to work on that chain. So we've actually had a lot of folks, I think I can think of at least 3 different, like that Ukraine did it at one point. And there's other companies that have taken Stellar and created a private instance of it. And they've used it. And Ukraine actually looked at the government there, looked at it at first, and they were like, but the value of the blockchain is that it's not that, like you can use it for that. So they then have now gone to the public network and thought about moving on to the public network for that reason. So I do think that there's just, obviously, I think that there's value for all of this technology, but I think the public notion of this, and one of the questions I get, right, from any company that we talk to, they say, well, who's in charge of that?
Exactly.
Because that's your instinct, right? When you have, like, especially if I ran an IT department too when I was at Mozilla, and that's the thing, people always want to know, who are we going to go to when something bad happens? Well, the whole idea of this is that you're going to be involved in it. You're going to run your own validators. You're going to be part of it like you guys do on Stellar, which is amazing. And so you actually have a say.
And actually, I think that's one of the things that's not fully appreciated from a regulatory standpoint. So, because if you're a regulator, like, well, who's in charge? Like, who am I going to go, after, right? On the other hand, they have more information at their hands. I think they're going to get more comfortable that actually, especially if they leverage AI, they'll actually start to realize they have more transparency into what's going on in the ecosystem to be able to identify bad actors and others on a public chain because the information's there.
It is, and then you can never change it. And that's the thing that I think is the most important about it. It's an immutable public record that can't be changed. And they're already like law enforcement. And when you talk to law enforcement, they're all like, hey, this is great for us. Because this is actually, I can follow. I can follow I can follow it on the chain. It's the people who, and I'm not being critical when I say this, but the people that don't understand the technology and the benefits of it, that often are the ones who point to the fact to say, oh, it's just being used for bad stuff. The truth is, it's way harder to use the blockchain for bad stuff than it is for cash.
Absolutely.
We actually know how to follow
exactly.
So
No, I couldn't agree with you more.
It's fun. So thank you so much for all the time here today, and also just for the work that you're doing.
Oh, thank you.
It was really nice to have you.
Yeah, thank you.
That was really cool being able to share that with you guys. And one of the things I want to mention is what was mentioned towards the end of that interview. And that is AI on blockchain. Think about the things that they were mentioning in this particular segment interview, where you want to call it. AI on blockchain, trying to go through, I guess you could say the code and so on, and find the bad actors. Are we going to get to the point where AI is basically utilized where they can seek out the bad actors? Yeah, I think so. I think if you can have a case of, for instance, and you guys have seen this, I know this is a different analogy, but if we can have, Tupac and Biggie Smalls on a a new, for instance, Kanye West hit song, right? Or you can have this latest one, Donald Trump and Joe Biden rapping like they're the greatest rappers of all time through AI technology. What about AI to do just that? Find out the bad actors who are trying to do some stuff in the background to avoid potential, black swan events like Terra Luna Collapse or Celsius or FTX. You get where I'm going with this. And of course, what Danelle Dixon was mentioning for law enforcement. So there is so many different use cases that sometimes we just can't wrap our heads around. But, Danelle is right. There is a lot more use cases that are in favor for blockchain technology compared to what is labeled from the narrative of mainstream news that, back in the day, what was it, 2013 or something? Oh, the bad actors, the Silk Roads of the world, they're going to use this for drug dealing and so on. Again, like I've always mentioned, there's usually two narratives that the mainstream media shares, and that is monumental crashes and all-time highs. They're never going to give the general public information in regards to use cases and how it benefits, just general population of people. Or how about this with Stellar, with the aid assist program and so on. That's why we have community-driven news. It gives you, for instance, that education of the actual use cases, whether it's from myself, shout out to Crypto John, some of you other guys out there, right? It's up to us to get the info out there. We live in a day and age where, it's not the elites who just have the access to the information. We live in a day and age where everybody can have access to the information. It's just simply getting it out there and talking more about what blockchain use case is all about, DLT and so on. So with that said, we're going to kick it into the last bit of our coverage of what we have. I know that I probably got a ton of comments to get into, but I do want to try to get towards the last part of our segment on the lineup tonight. So I thought I'd go ahead and do just that. So I'm going to jump back into this in regards to Franklin Templeton. And here it basically is right here, excuse me. And I'm going to come back into the frame. So as you can see right here, it says, it's the first U.S. registered mutual fund to process transactions and record share ownership on the Stellar blockchain. This is one of the main things I wanted to share with you guys. So, I was debating, of course, on sharing the whole video, but I mean, they talked a lot about, what Stellar brings to the table and why Franklin Templeton chose Stellar and, some of the things about regulatory compliance. I mean, it was a great back and forth conversation. Look what's mentioned. San Mateo, California, April 24, 2023. Franklin Templeton announced the Franklin On-Chain U.S. Government Money Fund, which is FOBXX. That fund surpassed 270 million in assets under management of AUM as of the 31st of March. The fund's transfer agent maintains the official record of share ownership via a proprietary blockchain integrated system that currently utilizes the Stellar blockchain network for transaction activity. The fund is the first U.S. registered fund to use a public blockchain to process transactions and record share ownership. This is the juicy stuff, right? Whenever you're the first of anything, why not recognize it? So, and it says it's available via the Benji Investments app. Now, of course, you could take more of your deeper dive into that to nerd it out, but look at what is posted on this quote. We believe that blockchain technologies have the potential to reshape the investment management industry by providing greater transparency and lower operational costs for traditional financial products. Blockchains like Stellar are important to the investment process of the future, and assets built on blockchain rails like the Franklin On-Chain U.S. Government Money Fund will eventually be interoperable with the rest of the digital asset ecosystem, said Roger Baston, head of digital assets at Franklin Templeton. Now, let's talk about the fund for just a brief moment. The fund reflects a meaningful integration between blockchain technology and traditional financial institutions. At the end of the day, we've been talking about this for probably over a year now. This demonstrates the potential for increased interoperability in the financial system. This is some of the aha moments, if you will, of why we're putting emphasis on this tonight. This innovative, investment vehicle motivated the Stellar Development Foundation to further diversify its treasury by making a multi-million-dollar investment into the fund. Check this out. Stellar is built and optimized for asset tokenization, and the Franklin On-Chain U.S. Government Money Fund exemplifies the blockchain's usability, said Daniel Dixon, CEO and Executive Director of the Stellar Development Foundation. Stellar is evolving traditional financial products and processes, making markets more accessible and empowering more people. Now, I want to state this just for a moment. I have seen people, and I'm probably not the only guy who's going to get this, and it's okay. If a person didn't do a lot of their own research, they're going to say, Max, your video of $10,000 dollars per XLM, you're an absolute dreamer. So a couple of people are like, what's this guy smoking? I mean, I get it. That's what's going to come with the territory. But understand this. If you have something like it shows that's evolving traditional financial products and processes, think about the concept of just the word, evolving. How about this? An evolving asset as far as the actual price and the market cap. You better believe that if this is an innovative technology that's constantly evolving, well, guess what? That market cap, that price is also going to reflect the innovation that is behind it. So, yeah, you better believe I'm going to state this, that Stellar, as far as price and market cap, are going to evolve and balloon as well. But it's not going to be something that is going to burst to the point where, institutional money is not going to want to come into this. The whole point of why we look more deeper into some of these particular digital assets is because it's part of that generational shift of going towards this new monetary system. And this new monetary system is doing what? They're embracing or realizing, I should say, that these technologies are going to be the future, right? People say Web3 and so on. But we have some hurdles that are in the way, and that is basically trying to get that regulatory clarity. Now, there's some steps that are involved to achieve some of these things. But I want to read this real quick. It says the fund, if you're wondering about it in regards to Franklin Templeton, the fund is a regulated 1940 Act fund that invests at least, and this a lot, 99.5% of its total assets in government securities, cash, and repurchase agreements collateralized fully by government securities or cash. The fund's investment goal is to provide investors with a high level of current income as is consistent with the preservation of shareholders' capital and liquidity, and aims to maintain a stable $1 share price. One share of Franklin On-Chain U.S. Government Money Fund is represented by one Benji token. Token holders can gain exposure to the fund in digital wallets through the Benji Investments app, available, like they showed earlier, on most app stores. And again, if you want to nerd it out. Stellar Development Foundation continues to recognize the functions and potential applications for these tokens in the digital ecosystem. At the end of the day, it's basically this, right? We introduced you guys the whole thing of Franklin Templeton. You saw the interview and so on. I think that this is the start of many to come onto, for instance, Stellar. And you're already seeing it. You're seeing other countries and their use cases of why they need Stellar and so on. I think this is, in my opinion, one of the big players for the start of this shift. And it's just beautiful to see some of these things coming about. Now, at the end of the day, some people are going to, of course, flood this, the ones that have done more of their own research and realize that, they're going to say, well, we don't see much price action. Understand this. There's a difference between implementation and actual utility being used. But we get more of this mass adoption worldwide, in which things are implemented and then used. The next step, obviously, is to get that clarity before we can have these massive waves of the institutional money coming in. But this right here, to me, is the first of many steps forward getting more of that mass adoption as far as from a financial services or institutional money perspective. How so? Just like you see right here, Franklin Resources, a global investment management organization with subsidiaries operating as Franklin Templeton and serving clients, listen to this, in 155 countries. These guys are not some run-of-the-mill, new player that hasn't existed for a while, right? And on top of that, look at this. The company has 75 years of investment experience and approximately 1.4 trillion in assets under management as of March 31st. So at the end of the day, these guys are a power player. They've been around for a long time. Why would they want to choose Stellar? Think about that for a second. Why would they want to choose Stellar? Again, they're not going to choose one that's not a winner here, to say the least. So thought I'd share it with you guys. It did make some of the recent news, and let's face it, it's Stellar. Who doesn't want to see some Stellar news? Glad to see that interview. Glad to share it with you guys. And if anything, we're going to go ahead and read a few more comments, and then after that, I'm going to start wrapping things up. But I do appreciate everybody who's joined us here tonight, and especially want to give recognition and thanks once again to Crypto John. It's an honor to have you part of our community, and we hope to see more of you guys. Give Crypto John a follow. He has great content on a lot of things that we cover. He covers as well. And for instance, you guys are into like Gala, he covers that as well. All right. So back into the comments. I'm going to read this real quick from ISO Jetpack because we haven't seen him for a little while, right? So welcome back. He says, the next bull run will be monumental. The age of Web3 with the fourth industrial revolution of use case. We will win. I agree. School Guy gives us a heads up on how he found his channel, or this channel, our channel. I zipped by your channel a couple times recently, noticed the stellar videos in my feed. I subbed to your channel tonight. Well, thanks, man. That means a lot. I really appreciate that. All right, I might have some connection problems. I saw the little widget thing kind of let me know, but we'll get through it. Magic Power says Binance alone holds around 15 billion tokens or coins, which they are not releasing for the time being. And if you're referring to Jasmy, I think they hold 23% of all of the tokens. Speaking of Jasmy, Crypto Jedi says, is there any more crypto that has originated in Japan besides Jasmy? There is one other particular one that's related to a metaverse project. I forgot the name. It doesn't come off the top of my head. But some of the fudders were recognizing another project from Japan and stating, oh, this is a big deal because of the delisting on Binance US. That was the last one I saw. I can't recollect the name of that particular project, but I remember it had a little something to do with metaverse. All right. Skull Guy, if you stay long enough in the live stream, Max starts twerking. Yes, but it only happens on WrestleMania nights. That's just a joke, though. All right. Glad to have you guys in the comments. You guys got some funny comments, obviously. Magic Power says Jasmine still hasn't caught on with the general public. That is true. It's slowly starting to get noticed, and people are beginning to understand the incredible potential Jasmine has. For some people to say, I want this to be more noticed by the public. Okay. We all eventually want that. Do we want to get into a project when that all happens? No. A perfect example would be kind of like, where Bitcoin is right now. Most people don't know about crypto, but for the ones that somewhat have heard about, they're still going to just mention one key thing, and that is, oh, I think I heard about Bitcoin. And they don't know why they heard about it or what's the use case or anything. They just don't know. So do we want to sit around at these particular price levels and then wait for this thing to, get well past a penny or 50 cents or a dollar and so on, and then jump into it? That wouldn't make any sense. Not financial advice, but come on, that's common sense. All right. I'm going to go further down, and I want to welcome back Mr. Arm to Fight You. Bencoin is on fire right now. Oh my God. A lot. Bencoin. Never heard of that particular one. Let's see what you're talking about. Is it a meme coin? What is it? Ben coin. All right. He says it's absolutely on fire. Oh my God. Yeah, it is. Jeez. What is this? Is this a real good solid project, or is this a pump and dump? What is it? So it's sitting at 3069063 and it's up 571% in the last day. How long has this project been around? Man, I'm gonna have to fix the whole thing from CMC. I might have to go with another outlet. I liked how it looked before. They just came out today. Huh. Interesting. All right. Ethereum contract, probably ERC20. Okay. Well, I have nothing about this, but thanks for sharing that. Magic Power says that Jasmine can reach 50 to 80 cents before Bitcoin having $17 in the bull run top is possible. That'd be pretty amazing. Skull guy, surely don't want to get locked out of XLM. That's a good point. IBM loads them some XLM and some BSV and all sorts of other stuff, right? Cool Cat? Yeah, right. Exactly. Wayne Side, welcome. He says, how old is Ben? Sirs up. Good to see you, Wayne Side. Shaw. 4 days old is Ben. Interesting. Miguel, welcome. Hello. Good to see you, brother. Yep, right back at you, man. Glad to have you here. Thank you for coming on in. I did pull it up for a bit, but I don't want to talk about too long. It's just I do need to get going because I do want to catch at least part of the second half of this game. Just trying to see you guys got anything specific. You do. Pink Taco Inu. My God. Jeez. Get rid of that. Anyway. Yeah, we'll have to do this sometime. If you have a Twitter account, add me up here at DPG Maximus. The other one is Larry, so follow me on this one, and then that way, basically, like if Crypto Mike, aka Elon Musk, says something like, "Hey, Max tags," I'll recognize that it's an actual tag to Twitter and it's not a coin. So I did see that the other day. I thought it was funny. Poor Larry. Anyway, all right, let's go down. Was it? Thanks, Brian. Yeah, I like some of the things that out in the woods and so on. Jean-Pierre Cormier, blockchain. Huh. Interesting. Welcome. River, if I didn't welcome you before, glad to have you here. Sean Max here has one of the best channels I've seen. Keep it up, bro. Oh man, you just made my day. Thank you, man. Coming from you especially. You got one of the best content as far as what you do with like recorded videos and so on. People love your perspective, man. You got a great way of breaking it down and so on. So, we all have something that makes us, I guess you could say, unique. But I'm not just saying this, guys, just to, oh, hey, Crypto John's here, so I'm going to say this. I actually am personally subscribed to Crypto John. And I do watch some of his videos, like at the, the dinner table while I'm having like a, making like a quick, bite to eat, like a snack or something like that. Or if it's at dinner time or sometimes I'm on lunch break, right? I watch his videos and so on. I always actually look forward to your videos. I don't watch a lot of content creators. I actually watch maybe like a handful of guys. So you're one of them. I watch Richard Common Sense Crypto, obviously. I watch the artist formerly known as Crypto Lulu, aka Lewis Jackson, Versan Alarja. Obviously, Coach JV, 3T Warriors Academy, especially their morning show, right, with Johnny Crypto and so on, and Abs and whatnot. There might be a couple others, but yeah, you're part of that group of 5. So there's a reason for that. You have great content. That's basically it. All right. So how about this? I'm going to read just a couple more comments, and Max gives out all the answers so we can pass by the end of the day. Yes, that's right. So with that said, pop quiz, like shout out to the late great Dennis Hopper. Pop quiz, hot shot. Here's what's going on. Tell me in a one-page paragraph in APA format, and make sure you have your citations. You are not allowed to use Wikipedia. You must have proper APA format citation. and I expect this within the next 10 minutes before school's over with. I want you to tell me the key differences between Stellar's XLM and Ripple's XRP. And on top of that, I want you to also show me why you feel that way with at least 2 key resources. Again, can't be Wikipedia. And I expect it to be turned in by the end of the show. Otherwise, you get a 0 on your paper. Make sure that you put what module that you're part of and who's your instructor for this module. Thank you very much. All right. Just kidding. All right. P2P requires more tips. TPS. See, he's already doing the pop quiz, I guess. I'm kidding. All right. Beyond the Barbell, give him a follow as well. Another Jasmine content creator. You can follow him over at Beyond the Barbell. And I'm glad to see your channel starting to take off. That's pretty darn cool. Thanks for being here tonight. We'll probably give you more of a plug next time. I'm just trying to wrap things up here, but glad to have you here tonight. All you guys, really appreciate you being here. And let's see where we're at. Just a couple more. Where we're at. There's a lot of comments. Got the green frogs for Selmo. Engine. You know what? A while back, I decided I was going to pick one of 3. I said, I'm either going to get into Sandbox, I'm going to get into Engine, or I'm going to get into Mana. And I chose Sandbox. But I do think Engine is a good project too. Elon Musk says the bull run is a pedal bike compared to the utility run. It's a rocket that has another rocket attached to it. That's a great analogy. I agree with you on that. Floating head, Max. Twerking, priceless. How can I think about what you just said? Think about what you just said. How can I do a floating head and twerk? Well, then again, maybe the floating heads was twerking. But doesn't that ruin the whole point of twerking? If you can't see the rest of the body, it's just my head. But maybe that's the whole point. I don't know. All right, I'll read this comment from Jetpack Max. They have a coin that does a self-repaying loan. It's on the ETH blockchain. It's called Alchemx, ALCX. Its all-time high is amazing. It's one of a kind. Its owners are kind of private. Now, I'll say this, Jetpack. Is this another example of that one Robo token you told us about that went to like $250,000 a coin, and we were saying like this is like the Berkshire Hathaway of crypto, but there's no demand for it, like nobody's buying it. We could look more into it in the future, but I think you're the guy that pulled that up last time. Want to welcome Centrifuge. Glad to have you here. Max putting on that in that work, baby. Yeah, well, I did try to earlier today and yesterday. So put out, Hyperledger Fabric, an Overledger. That's why I call it Hyper Overledger. So I don't know. Say what you want. Quant working with Jasmine, or it would benefit Jasmine more to work obviously with Quant. Like I mentioned, it'd probably just be another notch in Quant's belt to work with Jasmine. But you already saw what they got going on with DAG. So in all the the reasons, if you're at the beginning of the show, we were talking about this. Why wouldn't they offer those type of services for Jasmine? If Jasmine wants to be interoperable and have a secure smart contract in the future, I think that totally would make sense. I'm just being honest. I think, especially with Jasmine going to the top 100, and some of you guys are saying that Jasmine could be in the top 20. You better believe if they get to, like, for instance, the top 40, top 50, something like that, or especially top 20, like some of you guys are mentioning, you don't think that the likes of, GV and the rest of the guys won't recognize that? I think they do. But it's going to be more of like, hey, the ball's in your court with the support for Hyperledger Fabric, with Overledger compared to, Quant's not going to reach out to them. It's going to be the other way around. So I don't know. Maybe I'll have to attend one of Hara's AMAs in the future and be like, look, you got to check this out if you're not aware of it, Anyway. Homework. Oh man. No, not homework. It's a pop quiz. Max getting fired up. Open book test, Max. Yeah, you know what? Here's the thing. I always tell people, I always call them kids, but in reality, some of these guys are like in their 20s. Students, where you want to call it. I always tell them, look, there's always that new student who's like, I want to go old school. Okay, you want to go old school? You want your textbook. Yeah, my mom told me that I have to have a textbook. Okay, Do you want to spend 2 hours this weekend doing homework? Nah, bro. You know, and then they go, oh, I'm sorry. Sorry, Mr. Stanley. You know, yeah, don't be calling me bro. You know, I'm your instructor. So do you want to spend 2 hours this weekend doing homework, or do you want to get this done like basically in 20 minutes? Well, yeah, 20 minutes. All right. Then no offense to your mom, get yourself the ebook. Well, why would I want to do that? Control F is your best friend. Boom, find everything. I like breezed through college in 3 years, under 3 years and 3.5 years for my associates, my bachelor's and master's, 4 degrees in 3.5 years, under 3.5 years. It says school record. That's true story. No joke. For one main specific thing, other than just going like gangbusters on it, I doubled up on my classes as well, is why I have a bunch of student loan debt. But the ebooks, anybody going to college right now? I just want to say, God bless you. You know, still focused, but go with an ebook, because Control F is your best friend. You can highlight key things instead of thumbing through an old textbook, trying to find the answers and all that stuff. Control F solves all of that for you. And even when I do a lot of research, I do a lot of Control F. I try to find keywords. I always tell my students that. High school, elementary school, and so on, I tell them, look, you guys have a Chromebook, especially like nowadays, because when we converted from when we did the whole online education, all our kids are doing online. What was it, 2020 to 2021, for example? So everybody was handed out Chromebooks. But with that said, I mean, all the all the material was like online material, in like PDFs and so on. So I just tell them, like, come on, stop making pull out your hair. I don't have no hair anymore. That's why I wear a hat. Stop pulling out your hair. Control F is your best friend. So yeah, open ebook test. How about that? Sandbox is solid. I agree. Vaseline, it was a joke, Max. My God. Here we go. Coconut oil. DGen time. All right. Well, Mr. Han, if I'm here and you're here, does that make it our time? Love that movie. Fast Times at Ridgemont High. One of my favorite movies. I will state this. I always thought, it would be great, like, if they would have done a TV series. Like, so do like a Fast Times at Ridgemont High TV series, not in the present, where it still takes place like in the 80s. And I would watch the living heck out of that show. Anyway. You guys all rock. Glad to have you guys here. I'm going to conclude the show, and we'll be back tomorrow at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific for more Crypto Talk Now. Look out for some real big, deep dives for Jasmine. It's not a rehash of news or anything like that. Some big stuff that was shared with me from the great Quant Papa. And I'm going to have an outline on Twitter, because I'm also trying to build up my Twitter, and I've noticed that the more research you provide on Twitter, you could really build like a bigger following. How so? The last particular one I put out for the anti-FUD in regards to quant, within 1 week I gained 300 more followers just for putting that research out there. So people are appreciating it, which is cool. And my goal is 10,000 followers for Twitter. There's an actual thing. And Crypto John, if you happen to be watching this, I want to tell you this flat out, because I know you're a content creator as well. As we know, when it comes to YouTube, they're like Uncle Sam. They're going to take about roughly, like 33%. They do like on super chats too, and it's nonsense. But on Twitter, you can actually earn more as a content creator, but you have to get to what they refer to as Twitter celebrity status. I know I'm not letting that go to my head. That's just what they call it. You have to get 10,000 followers or more, but the earnings on there are significantly better than YouTube. So that's also part of the grind. But if you happen to be watching, maybe look into that in regards to Twitter. So I'm going to try to put up more content on Twitter. Tokenizer does some of these things, and he's killing it with that. So anyway, thanks again for watching, everybody. I think a super chat did come in. Thank you to Max for what you do. You are the crypto man. Well, thank you, Salamander. I appreciate the $5 super chat. We didn't get any super chats earlier, but that's all right. Understand. We did, actually, I should say. I think it was Henry Brown. So thank you for that. And then also Mr. Elon Muff. So thank you to all you guys with your super chats, and just you guys, even if you didn't drop super chats, this community that we have here at CTN went straight for anything. Thank you so much. You guys rock. We'll see you guys here on the next one. I'm gonna read this last comment. But yeah, thank you for that. And also from Elon Muff. But this last comment, if you want to, Max, for any other guy going bald, use micro needling. Look it up. It's almost like, yeah, my friend recently just told me about that. I forgot about that. He did tell me to look into that. So I may do that. And then Crypto John, he'll be the last one. Thanks for sharing that, Max. I have one, just didn't make it public. Okay. Yeah, it's just something to look into, man. I mean, we're all part of this journey, and we do want to kind of get rewarded for our time, not to the point where we're bashing other communities, like a particular individual whose name I won't mention. I think you guys know who he is. He does it literally every time he does a live stream. Does not embrace community at all, and he just bashes community consistently, but teaches on. All right, over and out. Won't talk your head off anymore. We'll see what's going on with this Lakers/Warriors game. No problem. Yeah, he's more than welcome to sometime. So Twitter. All right, over and out, guys. That's it for me. We'll see you back here tomorrow. Know what you hold, know why you hold it. Over and out.
Singing this song, I see I was wrong. To chain you down, I was the clown. I'm singing this song, I see I was wrong. To chain you